let's do a cheers to the Sobeys and Safely Liquid Beer Release podcast.
We ride again.
I love you guys.
Careful, that cake's hot.
Check-in, come on, let's go. It's the AM Nasty Big Hello. It's not static, AM radio. It's the Cool Ben Red Hot Nielson Show. Let's go. Everybody tuning in, even my wife.
Mommy likes too.
And those Macromala intros are cutting like a knife. Hey, it's Mitch texting in, he's your dealer for life. Let's crack at 6 o'clock and lager with some sirloin bites.
You're tuned into the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, your clear choice for Edmonton sports here on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and of course on YouTube, where we have surpassed, I do see, the 11,000 subscriber mark. Congratulations to everyone. We will get more on that later on in the show. I'm sure pickled herrings enjoyed by all during this festive holiday and New Year's season. Happy New Year to you as well. Nasty's out there listening and watching. Lieutenant Eric this morning. Dave Jameson up here riding the wood with me. It's good to see you, James. It's good to share a desk again, albeit in a bit of a different form and fashion.
Yes.
But welcome back. I know you've had 2 days with Iwanic. We had a break midweek, Wednesday, New Year's Day. Now you're on the ride home, they say, Thursday and Friday.
I'm on the back end.
The back end now.
The back end of the journey.
How were the shows? Happy New Year. How were the shows with Maddie? I mean, please. Now that he's not in the room.
Well, no, he was great. Awanik was his usual sort of awkward. We were asked, there was one of the questions was, how... Tube, you can remind me.
YouTube Trev behind the monitors.
What our resolutions were for the Nasties and Edmonton Sports Talk for 2025, and I think I was asked if you could do Party with Eric. Yeah. What was that? What was that scenario? And the other one was Fire.
Be your roommate.
Be a roommate.
Fire
I said
someone.
Gazzola. I said, and who would you party with? And I said Eric.
Was it party in Vegas? Was it specific?
Yeah, party in Vegas, and I said Eric.
Yes.
And if you could fire one of the EST people, and I said Awanik.
It's one of those kill, have sex with, and marry questions or whatever. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was party. What was it?
Party. Roommate. Fire. Anyway.
Okay.
So the 2 days went well. I don't know what the viewers, listeners thought, but it was good fun.
I'm sure it was fine. I mean, you had lots to discuss. Obviously, World Juniors, Oilers, bowl season is we're thick and thin in that. Raptors even picking up a win yesterday. So
Warnock was upset about Manchester United, as he often is.
Well, they're in a what they call it in soccer a relegation scrap right now at the near the bottom of the table, which is the standings.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Well, for our viewers and listeners, I wanted to just preface with that terminology. But look, it's good to have you here. I'm in the past doing the shows with you. It was more of a uniform. We had the 3 panes of glass separating the two of us. And
we had the corporate overlords looking in on us.
And guests who would have pre-scripted questions. And so a little behind the scenes stuff there. But no, it's good to have you here. And again, you've got full control of one of the roadcasters, we call it. Play us a button here.
Ooh, you suck.
Well, maybe more of a positive.
Sure.
We'll lead it off with that. I mean, but any requests?
Well, explain to the viewers, the listeners.
Yes.
For those of you not capable of watching us right now, I am now in a different position than I was for the first 2 shows.
Yes.
So I have control over the roadcaster.
Yeah.
And I can, at just the flick of a finger, generate sound.
And it's I know you're a big fan of craft work.
Yes,
but it
I
does
am.
feel like you're on a bit of a moog here. Hey, like this is kind of your own
Well, I dropped a Dead Mouse reference was it Tuesday show? Was it Tuesday show? Yes. Trev is over there. I got to get used to the idea that he's actually working and doing another job, and so I look at him and he's not ready to chat.
No,
but that's okay.
Yeah.
So I dropped a Dead Mouse reference, and Jack Cookson liked it.
He's a hip guy. He knows the scene.
Exactly.
Hey? Yeah.
So yes, throughout the show, I'll play with this and figure out what I got here.
We got a busy show, packed show. But again, if you want Jameson to just hit a button, scream out a color, text in a color, 780-218-9999. It is the Paris Jewelers inbox or in the Nasty Chat as well. New Year's celebrations and greetings all out the Nasty Chat this morning. I see you, Dustin with Y, celebrating his big Texas Longhorns win yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
Never in doubt with Texas yesterday in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, was it, Dave? I mean, that certainly was quite the bowl game. Much more better than the Rose Bowl. But
I'll confess, I'm not a good fan. Let me rephrase that. I am not good at sitting and watching sports. Like, I can't remain motionless.
You get fidgety, eh?
Yeah. And I left
too
that
many
game.
iPhones. That's your product of the generation. You're all
too many screens. And I left that game thinking, as you would, this one's done.
Yeah.
The goose is cooked. And came back just in time for the double OT.
I said the game was slipping out of Steve Sarkisian's hands like a wet CFL football at a training camp in Saskatoon many moons ago, which it did, and it almost did again yesterday.
Do you want to give some context for our younger viewers?
Steve Sarkisian, who coaches Texas, a great program and a pretty successful. He's been around. The guy has been around. He's coached some prestigious schools. That had a good collegiate career, I do believe, BYU. But
Sark,
they call him Sark. Yeah, he came up very heralded quarterback.
Indeed.
And I went to go see him in a training camp scrimmage in the rain. And he couldn't hold the damn ball. His hand was just too small. It wasn't built for the Canadian ball.
No.
Our balls are bigger. You remember the advertising,
when
the
they
shirts.
actually were
when they
larger.
were physically larger ball. So, yeah, it was raining. He couldn't hold the ball, and here he is coaching UT, and they're into the semifinals. Congrats to them. We'll have more on the bowl picture as we go through the show. I'm going to be bringing it up in a few segments during today's program. But Sugar Bowl goes tonight. Notre Dame, Georgia, the final of the quarterfinals. And speaking of quarterfinals, World Juniors as well, kicking back into gear tonight. So lots of stuff to get to. And as mentioned, a busy show, albeit just one guest. But I think with the three of us here in the room, we are going to have some fun as well. YouTube Trev, want to bring him in now as well. And he's, as you mentioned, doing a lot of work behind the scenes. But New Year's Eve, you are the youngest in the room by far. I actually stayed up till 11:50 on my own. Wife was already in the wrapper. I said, well, maybe I'll stay up for once and ring in a new year. I then passed out and woke up again at 12:15 and missed. So whatever. I had a window that I missed. And that's fine. Then I went to bed. I didn't have a drop of liquor in my system. I would assume that, your dry January, you did kind of the same, New Year's, whatever.
I was lights out well before Ryan Seacrest drops the ball or whoever, and I did not see Anderson Cooper. I'm all of that.
You missed all the hits.
I've missed that for several years.
But the youth in the room.
Yeah.
And I want to get to this because I did hear that there was some sort of goings on. New Year's Eve, YouTube Trev, your New Year's Eve plans in great detail, please.
Gosh, yeah, I will say I definitely had my laziest day of the year. That was yesterday. I slept almost all day.
Hungover.
Yes. Yeah. I didn't think, I can't remember the last time I had one. I thought I was in the clear, but it turns out I still get them in 2025. So that's new. I learned that today,
Yeah,
or
but
I guess yesterday.
Where did you? How did you spend New Year's Eve?
How did I get to this
Yeah.
point? Yes. So this is new to me. I never heard of this before, and I guess I didn't really have a say in the matter. But I got together with some friends, the friends that I first met when I moved to the city at my old BPs, and they wanted to go to a pub crawl. A pub crawl. You guys ever hear this? A pub crawl.
Oh yes.
And so essentially, you get a wristband. You pay in advance, and you get this wristband. It's like $70.
Okay.
Which is a little, I don't know. I didn't like that.
You got to drink your
I
money's
would've-
worth. You really gotta.
Yeah, to an extent. The perks for this was you get the wristband gives you free or just early access into any of these bars. You don't have to wait
No
in line.
cover or any.
And I guess also is you get free drinks as well if you go up to the lady. I only got one free drink. One free drink.
That's an expensive drink.
That's an expensive. And you know what it was? It was a little shooter. It was a little shot I took.
$70 shooter.
So I was like, oh, wow, I'm really getting my money's worth. I'm so happy. This is great. And then all of a sudden, next thing we know, okay, round up the troops. We're going to the next bar. It's across the street. The bus wasn't even here. So we had to, there was like probably 50, 60 of us that we walked to the
bring a
other
coat?
bar. Yes, I did.
Okay.
I was smart. So I brought my coat. But it was still pretty cold. I felt bad for all the girls there in skirts. I'm like, yikes. They need to dress a little warmer, I think. But yeah, I mean, it was something. Next thing I know, we're on this bus, and I took a video of it. Maybe I'll put it on Twitter later or X.
Socials.
Yes,
Yeah, hit
because
the socials.
they're like, everyone sit down. Okay, we're sitting down, and as soon as the bus starts going, the driver just starts playing all the hits, and everyone just starts dancing on this bus. And that was a little too much for me. Like, I'm just like, everyone's having the most fun time of their life, and they're
Did
like,
you kind of get into a depressing
Yes, I did.
Lieutenant
I was
Dan
like-
New Year's Eve kind of
a little bit.
New Year, same old shit.
Everyone's just living it up, and I don't know. Like, I'm not the oldest, but I'm not the youngest. Like, they were like 18 to 22. That was the range, and I was like, I'm 26. I think I was close to being the oldest one on the bus, and you could tell because I've been there. I've done
How
that.
did you find your way into this? Because it sounds like you were there against your will.
Yeah, like that's the thing. We're all in a group chat, and we're all like, "What do we want to do?" And I said, like, "Let's go and have a house party. Maybe go bowling if there's bowling available, and then, just have a few drinks and snacks, some appies at a bar." But no, they wanna hit every bar. And it wasn't worth it. We finally went to our last bar on Jasper. It was like a 20-minute bus ride, which was just... Oh, I'm sorry. It was 20 minutes of hell. This was terrible. Like, I was miserable in the back of the bus here. We get to the last bar, and then I was just like, "Okay, I'm heading home. I'm leaving."
Eric,
That's it.
when I was in earlier in the week, I learned this about Tube. Is he believes the place he is now living in is just off White.
Yeah.
I did say that.
It is, in fact, about a 20-minute drive.
Yeah.
So when he says anything to do with distance or time, I think this guy is not even close.
You got to kind of add on
Yes.
or subtract
Yeah, it
off.
might have been
the
30 minutes on that
handful
bus.
of KMs.
To Jasper.
So what, you were doing White Ave? That was kind of the...
We went to 2 bars on White, which didn't we didn't use the bus, and then all of a sudden we're like, "Okay, we're going to Jasper." So I'm sorry, but like, we could have done the exact same thing and just Ubered. We could have all pitched in like $10.
Yeah,
and
starting the
saved
bus,
so much.
you would have only paid
So much.
$40 on your wristband, really. I mean, at
Yes.
30, getting that bus, the rental of the bus, the expense, the
And
getting it going.
It started at 7:00, so that we didn't even need to use the wristband. There was no lines. No one's lining up to get into a bar at 7. So it was like, "Oh, I got early access. I got this." They're like, "Okay, well, there's no lineup. You can just come in already." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so it was just, I'm first and last. I'm not doing that. I don't know. It was, I don't know, to maybe say I did it was kind of cool.
Stay home and prep for a show.
Yeah, New
that's-
Year off to
just-
a bang. Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, but don't sleep on the old pub crawls because I do find that maybe you found this, like, again, it was through your friends, but it seems to me like it was like a flyer posted on a lamppost type of
was
thing.
like-
Pub crawl sounds a great idea. One, please, and then you kind of go and you don't. But they're all done a little different. I wouldn't. Don't rule them out.
Okay.
Don't get soured by one.
Okay.
We used to do some back at the station, and Jordan Roddy would play us on and off with an accordion. A guy would play an accordion when it was time to get on the bus, Trev, and he'd go like this, and
That's
you'd
way better.
And we'd go out to towns. We'd go to different towns around Edmonton. I mean,
But a
it's-
little more organic. a little more.
Yeah, and that's what you need.
Yeah.
And again, White everything's close by. You don't need a buzz. Kind of get on a scooter or something. The Nielson Show presented to you as always by Southport Chevrolet as well. We are into the month of January 2025. Go see them today. Ring in the new year with Southport Chev. www.southportchevrolet.com. Oilers as well, ending the year on a high. Albeit we weren't getting there prior to that California trip in which we sent a listener down there for our EST flyaway to LA. Games in LA and Anaheim with Will Ferrell looking on as disheveled as he was in that Elf with an E uniform.
And a smoke.
And,
Unlit.
Yeah, he was looking good. But Oilers, again, coming home, beating Utah. We'll have more. They're back home on home ice tomorrow against Anaheim. We'll be discussing that at large tomorrow. But just, I guess, I don't know, the calendar year that it was for the Edmonton Oilers. Well, we'll get into that, I guess, at length around 6:40. But Oilers back in action tomorrow. Of course, World Juniors looming large tonight, quarterfinals and bowl season as
the
well.
highly
Chugging
undisciplined
on.
Team Canada.
Well, these kids nowadays, hey, they know nothing about discipline. You'd have probably something to.
Well, listen, I know we're going to get into it. Luke Gazdic just after 7 this morning, right?
Yes.
And we will, I'm sure, dive into what Canada failed to do, which was to keep its composure. And now the last couple of days have been filled with Dave Cameron looking on sternly saying, it's an internal problem. We'll have to correct from within.
Well, you can't correct from without. You can't make a trade. The deadline is come and gone here, Dave. Not you, but Cameron.
Yes.
You're going to have to figure it out, I guess, from
Just
within.
so much empty talk.
Well, it's teenagers. We're kind of.
I know
the East and cow and
teenagers.
hate. I mean, it's just Toronto Maple Leaf property, Ontario boy. He's getting raked over the coals here. This is how it's going to be. This is serious times for a lot of these youngsters. So, thoughts on the World Junior 780-218-9999. That's the Paris Jewelers inbox. Go see them today as well. I know Dave Jameson probably in the market for a New Year's anklet, as he likes to sport those. Namely,
I haven't
you
heard the
used to
term
have your ears
anklet.
pierced at the old station.
I
You've since
did.
taken them out, which
Yes.
surprised me.
Yes.
You would never know because you couldn't watch us back there. But you'd always have the dangly
Just one
crucifix.
ear. Just
The
one
Barry
ear.
Bonds.
Yes,
Yeah.
the Barry Bonds. Just a very discreet diamond that I would put in.
If you want a dangly earring or an anklet or anything else, Paris Jewelers, coast to coast to coast. You can go see them in West Ed today. Great shop there as well. But I would like this if we have a conch ready. First conch 2025. That's a big one.
Where do I go for the conch?
Trevor's got us covered. It's going to you, Dave. Conch Fit Dave, please. This comes in from Bones. Happy New Year, gentlemen.
I like it.
Fit Dave, was that a thing too? Monday and Tuesday? Did they call you Fit Dave? Are you fit? Is it because you're
a match fit?
you want an exercise regimen?
No, I don't. No, they're definitely not that. Probably just that I'm alive.
Well,
They're like,
that's
I guess
fit.
he's fit.
That's
yes,
he's fit.
He's
Yes,
fit.
Okay.
He's fit.
Well, and again, first conch of the year, I think fittingly going out to you, Dave. And again, I appreciate your time here coming in. Dave Jameson today and tomorrow. Dusty's back Monday. Everything kind of gets going Monday again for the new year, and we all get into the regular routine. But any other requests, conch requests specifically in this hour, 780-218-9999. Let's hit the morning announcements here for 100.3 The Bear, Edmonton's best rock. Yukon, McCord, the boys, the morning zoo, as you like to call it.
Jess in the afternoon.
Jess in the afternoon. And Bree. Yes.
Bringing the hits.
They're all there. Had a good conversation with McCord earlier today. Talking a little World Juniors. Talked a little bowl, which was nice. Peach Bowl yesterday. But New Year's Day, to me, is a day reserved for college football. Mm-hmm. I wake up, I watch the Parade of Roses from Pasadena, California. They got all the floats. I mean, who loves a good... It's a parade. Eh?
That setting last night, watching Rose Bowl, boy, I'm hard pressed to find a better backdrop for a college football game or for any kind of event. Frankly, it was stunning.
The bowl is great the way it's shaped. You got the mountains in the background. The first half combined to the second half is totally different from when the sun is up to when the sun is down. It just gets a different feel to the place. And again, kicking the day off. New Year's Day, you've either been out at a pub crawl all night or you've had a good 10-hour sleep. You wake up, you put the parade on. Everybody's down there. It's warm. Like they're not bundled up like you are up here, right? So they're kind of like a little more loose. You got the floats going on. I mean, the Santa Claus parades, I think, are kind of, it's dirty. There's a lot of salt on the roads. You go to Toronto and there's like this old bearded. It's a little depressing, I find them. But the Rose Bowl parade is like, fresh start, new year, nice floats.
Our parades, I know there's still a thing in some places.
The Americans love them.
There
Thanks
used
to
to be
Macy's Day, the whole bit.
There used to be a Grey Cup parade, which they had for decades, which I think they've done away with. But are parades generally a thing anymore? In our country, let me just say, because I know the Americans.
The Americans, yeah. I mean, in Canada, we usually mirror. I mean, we were going to be, absolved or absorbed by them at one point. Again, the youth of the generation. Do you love a parade, Trev? Would you go sit? Would you plot out a spot on the road hours prior to the parade with a lawn chair, and get excited?
Okay, well, maybe this is embarrassing, but we didn't really have much but parades where I come from. So the Pincher Creek Parade, the rodeo, it starts off with the parade, and we live right off Main Street, so it was the coolest thing ever. We just hopped the fence, and it was like a big thing for our family. Like the whole family would gather from Calgary, from Lethbridge, everyone. They'd all come down to Grandma's, and we'd look forward for the Pincher Creek Rodeo, which started off with the parade. And I was always, grabbing the candy. Let's go. More candy.
Shriners in those small cars.
Just waving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Little hats, the
Yeah.
fez.
Clowns with a long stick and an ice cream pail in the end. You can give it donation.
I was in the parade several times growing up, which I loved. I was the cowboy and also the clown. I'd switch it up every now and then. And so I love the parade. I'm happy we're talking about a parade right now.
You can get the bagpipes going. Do you always have a piping?
Yes, that was my grandpa's favorite. He'd clap
the
to the beat.
bagpipes, yeah.
Oh yeah,
Get a bit emotional.
Yes,
Hearing the pipes.
Yeah.
Just a little a single tear.
The pipe stage.
Single tear.
a single tear.
And rodeos and stuff. I think more of a smaller community type of event nowadays. But bring them back. Bring back the big city parade. Hey, EST could have a float. We could maybe lead the parade. Trev could dress up as a clown. Zach could be in there. We could just have a flatbed truck with Zach sitting on there waving to the people.
An EST float would be something I could get behind. You guys throwing out
like that.
scarves and trinkets,
Pins,
and bottle openers, and all that kind of stuff. All branded merch.
Dress it up for us, Nasties. What does an EST float look like? 780-218-9999 or in the Nasty chat. Maybe it gets you text of the day today. We could also be throwing out coupons to A&W, one of our big sponsors. Text of the day.
They are.
Did you know you get $20 if you win text of the day on this program?
I did.
Yep.
I was aware.
Yeah,
Yes.
That's if you aren't also $20 today, text of the day, 780-218-9999. That is the Paris Jewelers inbox, but we'll be awarding one of you text of the day, $20 to A&W. Once again, tomorrow's game day, best deal in town, Mama Burger and medium fries for $5. So get it in you. $20 GC, that gets you a lot of those deals. So text of the day, we'll be awarding that at the end of the show. Bowl season was great yesterday, albeit the Rose Bowl result wasn't maybe the best and the best game to watch. Ohio State smoking the Ducks 41-21. Not really at all in question. The number one high-powered Oregon Ducks losing their first game of the season in the bowl quarterfinals. Earlier in the day, it was the Peach Bowl. Everybody's talking about it. Texas getting past Arizona State 39-31 in overtime.
ASU is going to grieve this. They're going to ASU. They're going to take it to the high court.
The Sun Devil is not done yet.
Yeah,
it was
they're
a
not
late targeting call that wasn't called, which ended up, I guess, being the difference. Lots of points of difference in this game, I guess, and Texas letting Arizona State get back into it. Quinn Ewers, pretty good day, 3 touchdowns for the Longhorns. But Cam Scatabo, he had a day. He was puking on the sideline. He pukes New Year's Day. So somebody should be, sure, Cam Scatabo can puke New Year's Day, but when I do it, they call me an alcoholic, right? Like, because he's playing the game. 143 yards rushing. He also added 99 receiving in a pair of touchdowns. So good day for him, albeit in a loss for Arizona State, but a very entertaining Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl for you yesterday. Of course, Sugar Bowl postponed until tonight.
Yes.
That'll be the final quarterfinal between Notre Dame and Georgia down in New Orleans. Should be a good one as
Under
well.
very heavy security.
I would think so. They
Very
call
heavy,
in a
based
few
on,
another team to come in. We also got World Juniors quarterfinals action. Dropping the puck today. Sweden, Latvia, USA, Switzerland, Finland, Slovakia, and Canada, Czechia. That goes tonight.
Redemption for Canada on the line here.
Do they podium? They're strong enough to podium.
Oh, they're strong.
Okay, I just wanted to kind of build
they're
here.
strong
Yeah.
enough to podium, but we live in a time and in a country
It's not good
where
enough.
less than gold is, if not entirely unacceptable, close to entirely unacceptable.
And not finding the podium, right? Like I'm just saying, do you kind of see this in steps, or do you? I mean, to me, I before the tournament started, I thought the United States was the class of. I think it's not a hot take. I mean, they've look at the players and look where they've been and the experience there and everything. But if this was somewhere in Davos or
Can't
Prague,
hide, we're in the nation's capital.
yeah, but we would kind of forget. You wake up early, okay, whatever. But it's in Canada, and that stings, albeit a little more. And I don't care what level you're at in terms of building this Canadian squad and what we might see in years to come. You're at home. More is expected, regardless of who you selected and who's coaching.
Yeah, we can debate the roster composition, and we'll probably get into that with Luke a little bit. I know we did with Craig Button. Because going into the tournament, obviously there are questions. That happens, but it happened a lot this year as to, did you build a team as opposed to grabbing the best and most talented and slapping them together and saying, go produce.
Yeah, and the politics of Hockey Canada, I mean, when's that reared its ugly head, right? In terms of picking people over other people.
Never heard of it before.
No, I mean, it's all...
Never heard of it before.
Straight ahead, they just go based on talent, that's it. There's no other niceties involved. So we'll get more into the Canada question. The Oilers as well in the NHL at large, 7:05 with Luke Gazdic, but World Juniors... trucking on today with the quarterfinals. Edmonton Oil Kings, they fall on home ice 4-1 to the Hitmen. They are back in action tomorrow down in Tubes country, Lethbridge, visiting the Hurricanes down there. So we'll be following the Oil Kings down to Lethbridge tomorrow. The Raptors as well in NBA action. They snapped an 11-game skid. 130-113 over the Nets. Scotty Barnes, 33 points, 13 boards. The Raptors also back in action tomorrow. They will host the Orlando Magic. So that's kind of your morning announcement in a nutshell. I know YouTube Trev will have more on the sporting landscape with an update coming up quickly here. But just to let you know, also throughout the show today, the Fan Zone will be coming up at 6:40. We'll do a deeper dive, and we want your thoughts as well on the Oilers. The calendar year it was, the December it was, the latter half of December it was, and the January to come. It is a packed schedule for the first month of the year. And, this team, I think, a lot of people may be hoping for a better divisional position as it stands, but still in the mix. And I think as Will Fraser, when he filled in for Dustin for about 2 months there in the fall, kept professing, they'll be fine. And I'm sure you'll echo that same sentiment.
Will was doing his practicum. Here, filling in for Dusty.
He was putting in time.
Yes,
he went over the
service.
allotment of his 80 hours or whatever,
Yes.
But we want your thoughts on the Fan Zone for the state of the Oilers as it stands. Are they going in the right direction? I know that the end of December was a little bit rocky. They corrected things, course correct with that win against Utah. But where are you at? Taking the temperature of the Oilers in the Fan Zone coming up at 6:40. Luke Gazdic has mentioned of Sportsnet 7:05, the full hockey picture. Coolbet Canada hotline of the day. We'll go to our friends at Coolbet. Maybe take a look at this evening's Sugar Bowl. I know you've got a few bets you'd like to lay down. Maybe a few player props for tonight. We can go over with Dave here. I got beef for Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats. That's coming up at 7:30. If you got a beef as well, get that in. We'd love to hear it. That hurts for James H. Brown at 7:40. We'll kick off hour 3. Kind of easy trivia. 3 questions too many. Fired up for Gemco Fireplaces at around 8:30. And your Marmot Basin Ski Report all ahead of the wrap at 8:50. Lieutenant Eric, Dave Jameson, YouTube Trev will have a sports update right now. You are tuned into the Nielson Show on your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, edmontonsportstalk.com.
Only one game in the NHL last night, which saw the Kings blank the Devils 3-0. Tonight in the NHL, 12 games, which sees the Maple Leafs take on the Islanders, the Senators take on the Stars, the Jets host the Ducks, the Utah Hockey Club visits the Flames, and the Kraken will play the Canucks. Yesterday in the WHL, 5 games, including the Oil Kings losing to the Hitmen. The Oil Kings will be back in action on Friday at Rogers Place to take on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. In the World Juniors, the quarterfinals start today, which has 5 games, including Team Canada going up against Czechia. Puck drop for this one goes at 5:30. Other games include Kazakhstan taking on Germany, Latvia going up against Sweden, Switzerland taking on the Americans, and Slovakia is set to play Finland. And to finish things off in the association, the Raptors start the year on a high note as they get their first win in 11 games. The Raptors defeat the Nets 130-113 and will be back in action tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. Game starts at 5:30. The Sports Update is brought to you by Nisku Glass. We want to thank EST and all the listeners and viewers, and what better way to do that than give them a deal? Mention Edmonton Sports Talk or present your Nasty Club membership for a 10% discount on windshields, glass, or any of your window and door orders. Call us today to get that ugly broken windshield replaced or to start planning your winter and spring renovation projects now.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
You are tuned into the Nielson Show. You're just giving up. I love it. It's EdmontonSportsTalk.com, your clear choice for Edmonton sports. You can check us out once again if you are listening to the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps. Hello, and if you are on YouTube, hello as well. We have hit the 11,000 sub mark, which was beautiful to see. I know the drive for that was going on over Christmas. I know a little controversy as well in terms of Dusty swallowing the pickled herring. We'll probably discuss that come Monday when he returns to the show. He's got a big fantasy win as well to be bragging about as he was champion of his, he calls it the Spite League, because they screwed him at the beginning of the season.
Right.
So he took the whole season in spite. It was a spite. He was playing in protest.
A chip on shoulder.
A Chip Kelly on his shoulder. Yeah. Who designed an excellent offensive scheme yesterday for the Ohio State Buckeyes, I might add. Beating his old Ducks. Like, take that. Talk about redemption. Chip Kelly getting one over on the old the Oregon. And hello to everyone in the Nasty Chat as well. I know I did ask for some suggestions on a EST parade float or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's a float.
Yeah, Scott on a hotel balcony in Beaumont asked our good friends at the Chat GPT,
yes.
and they did one up for us. So there's one here if you want to see, Dave. Let me there you go. It's a lot of. Yes. It's a carnival atmosphere. There's a lot of. It looks like Winona's Big Brown Beaver, the Primus music video. Like, that's kind of what we're putting down here. If you want to kind of use your imagination.
I know Tube's laughing that I know what the Big Brown Beaver video is. I know.
Dave.
I know where.
Dave. If he was in that pub crawl bus, you'd be dancing. Like, you'd be up there. You'd be. You know the hits.
I'm aware.
The Dua Lipas and et cetera, et cetera.
Sure.
I just want to get to
Chapel Roan. Just keep saying it.
Just keep saying the name.
Yeah.
You know it. You're done with the headphones as well today. We haven't even.
Can we just talk about? I know listeners, viewers. I always have to go listeners/viewers.
Yes.
Don't want to hear about how we make the sausage, but Awanik is opposed.
He's a
to
stickler
the
for
on-air personalities
in the visual now.
Wearing headphones,
wants
correct?
a clean look. He doesn't want.
I don't. Okay, and Tube has them and appears to be happy. Mine won't stay in.
Yeah.
My ear hole.
Yeah, mine didn't either.
Okay.
I've warped my ear now to where like I've done permanent damage to my inner ear, and they stay in now. But I hate them. I'd much rather wear. You get a better sonic.
Yes.
I get a better sound. I get the show better. But I don't like the earbuds. You've clearly given up on the earbuds, which I love.
Yeah.
And Maddie, I know you aren't listening because you're still sleeping, but somebody passed off to him. It'd be nice.
Who's in the hangout today, by the way? Do we know?
Great question.
List?
I like finding out when they all parade in. I like to keep it a little. Did you get the grapevine, Trev?
No, I'm assuming.
Tommy's got to be.
Yeah. Do they practice or no? They hit the road.
They'll be at home.
No,
They're home to the
they're
doctor.
okay.
So maybe they'll be.
I think Tommy might be. Oh, I don't know. He
So Maddie and Maddie and
dot.
Maddie and I love Maddie and yeah. Norman in Combine says I got an old JD steel wheel tractor to pull it.
Okay.
I don't mind a good tractor in a parade. I think Tube Sock says here's my parade story. May Day Parade, Victoria, BC, 1983. My Pee Wee hockey team was in the parade carrying the enormously long towel from the 82 Canucks Stanley Cup final. You can maybe
No, come on now. Is that actually a
hits
thing?
you in the
I
loins
remember
here.
that
Eh?
towel.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Tube Socks was there. He had a hand on the towel during the 83 May Day Parade. Vic
All
BC.
started with Roger Nielson. You've seen the image.
Sure. Yeah. Matty hates white in sports. He thinks it's surrender. He doesn't like the whole white aspect of
Oh, really?
any white anything.
You know, it's funny how pronounced Awanik's views are on some things.
he
Like
sticks
he's
in.
steadfast.
Gets those heels dug right in, like the
Dug right
earbuds in
in.
my ear right now. Dug right in. Jasmine chimes in. Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. Maddie, Tommy, and I, she says.
Oh, okay, good.
So
Thank you for
a
that.
hangout threesome there with the three of them, Maddie, Tommy, and Jasmine on the hangout today, 9 to
Jasmine's
11.
the grown-up in the room and knows the show lineup and then shares it
I think
with
they
the
all
listeners.
switched the hat between. It's a half-hour
up.
type of thing. The New Year's Eve hangout was awesome. That comes in from Shawnzy.
Mm-hmm.
I did hear, was that Jordy Mack making his hangout debut? Was that?
Yep. Jordy Mack was
recall?
on there. X-Ray J, and I have to apologize. One of the combines.
Jordy Mack
I'm
is the
terrible at
future.
names.
The Jordy Mack is the future of broadcasting, correct?
Yes, that's on the
yes.
streets. That's
Okay.
what they say on the streets.
Making his name, making
Yeah.
a name for himself.
So and you don't forget where you start. It started right here in the hangout with Matt Iwanek.
He's brawny.
9 to 11. Well, Bronny or the other, there's the other James that's
Bryce.
committed here.
Bryce
Bryce
James.
is in the, yeah. We're going to get to that. We're
Where
fired up
did
at
he commit
8:30.
to? Did he commit to? Was it ASU?
I think he's going to school, like an elementary. He's committed to an elementary school, and now we await where he. But no, you're right, Bryce James. It's great because this gives Dusty now the chance to follow the James, clan into his. I mean, Jordy will have his own show. He'll have a family of his own, and Dusty will still be banging the James family drum
yes,
in some sort of realm.
insufferably.
Yeah, Arizona. He's a wildcat. Yeah. So Bryce, he's got the goggles on. It's a beautiful scene. Gotta love it. 6:38. Lieutenant Eric Dave Jameson, YouTube Trev here. Let's get to the fan zone right now for fansfirst.ca. If you are looking for some tickets on the cheaper side of the ledger for tomorrow, Oilers again at home to the Ducks. The fan zone is brought to you by Fans First. By fans, for fans, no fees. Get your Oilers tickets all season long. Starting tomorrow, www.fansfirst.ca. And I did put out a little challenge to you, an ask, I guess, for you to get stuff off your chest for the Oilers and how you think the year shaped up, the calendar year. I mean, again, we got to we were knocking on the door. We were knocking on the door of a cup final, albeit not to be. It was a summer of weddings and all that, a quick one. Quick turnaround, which led to a quick camp. Not the best start of the season, but I think this team is rounding into form, to which, a lot would expect. You lost a few people courtesy of the offer sheet, but you brought in a few that I think are also rounding into form. Capping off waivers. I know Jeff Skinner maybe not performing as to, but your thoughts on the state of the Oilers, 780-218-9999, because I do think this team, if not the best in the league, I mean, when it comes to the time when it matters. And that's what it'll be. They'll be in the dance. They'll get to the playoffs. Yeah, they're old. Yeah, this and that and the other. They are built for the playoffs. They're built for that time of the year. They're waiting. They're sitting around. Evander Kane's perched, ready to go. They'll be fine. Again, to echo Will Fraser, and I know it sucks to hear during the fall. We all want to talk hockey. We're all really fresh back at it. But we're waiting. We're waiting for the spring. Let's just be honest. And to echo Matt Iwanek as well, that's all that this team cares about is spring hockey, playoff hockey. So whatever happens, if you have an odd loss to the Sharks down at the HP Pavilion, late at night on a Tuesday, big deal, right? I don't think, and again, I know the fan base rides and dies, and we'll get Trev's thoughts on this because, he is the one with the heart on the line in the room night after night. But I think this team as it stands, maybe you added something else to the back end. Outside of that, this is what they are, and I think they will be fine come playoff time.
Let me just
I know that's a big wide look here.
No, it is, and intentionally so. The Winnipeg Jets had a brilliant start to this season, and they are still 55 points. They lead their division. Let's talk about where they're going to be. And I believe in the Winnipeg Jets. They've done a fantastic job. They've got a brilliant goaltender. I mean, they're a well-constructed team. Edmonton, I am also a believer in, this team has gone with the one game shy of a Stanley Cup. lessons learned along the path, and they are in a very, very good place where they're at right now. Can they make just a couple of roster tweaks? It's all that's required.
Yeah.
And, you raise the age of the team. How old's Skinner? How old's McDavid? How old's Draisaitl? Those are the players I'm going to focus on when I think of the age of the team. I'm not concerned in the least. Are they winning the Stanley Cup? Well, of course, we don't know that. But a better than excellent chance, I would say, to find themselves either back in the Cup or very close to it.
Now, I guess
I'm not worried in the least.
One argument can be made that the home ice throughout and getting that division title and crown and being the top of the tree going through the playoffs is important. But Trev, I mean, you get in the dance, right? I mean, or do you subscribe to something bigger? Do you need to be champions of the division, champions of the conference, and going on through with that number one seed?
No, it's annoying that it took this long, but after they lost ultimately in Game 7 last year, it was no matter if the Edmonton Oilers can win the Cup, it's when. That's what that really, really showed me. They are so close. They are so close, and you see what Connor and Leon can do in the playoffs. You get them in, and I think they're past that point where it's okay, first round exit. They're gunning for the finals or Western Conference Finals every year. That should be a lock. And then it's just who they play in the finals. They are that good. And what they've been able to learn, you see it sometimes. It takes a few teams to lose a little bit to finally win the ultimate prize. Sometimes that doesn't happen. But I think they're going to be that much more motivated. A few things, a few tweaks, maybe a defenseman, a better defenseman.
Has your wish list changed at all? Or
no, I don't think so. I don't think so. We saw it at times. Certain players can step up in the big moments. We saw it last year, and I think that can. Who's to say that won't happen again this year? So, I don't know. It's a cliche, but I think the answers are in the room. Maybe just one more addition on the blue line, but you got Connor, you got Leon, and. I don't know. They're the best players in the world, and they were that close. They are that close. It's no longer if they will, it's when, and I think that could be this year.
The Pacific Division as it stands, the Vegas Golden Knights, 37 games played, 53 points. The Kings, who have won 3 straight, 37 games played as well, 49 points. The Oilers, 2 back. They sit on 47 points, also through 37, and the Flames on 43, also through 37 played. So there's teams in front of them. There are certainly teams behind them, albeit I think you are more so looking at those Kings and the Golden Knights. And I mean, are we at all concerned about the Flames, the trailing Canucks? Getting a Thatcher Demko back for the second half of the season can pose a question, and we've seen that. But certainly I think the gaze now rests on the Kings and the Knights. I don't know how concerned you'd be if teams. I mean, teams stick around. We see it every year. A plucky wild card Cinderella story, and man, they're still winning, aren't they? Hey, they're not losing. They're still winning. Does any of that worry you in terms of a stumbling up? Because I know the Kings have given the Oilers quite a test in the playoffs and been a little pesky. Well,
and actually, when you watch that last game that Edmonton had against the Kings, I came away with an impression of LA that has been fairly consistent the last couple of years. They are a heavier team than people might not expect, but they are, I think, uniquely equipped to beat Edmonton in a series. Do I think they're the better team? No, not necessarily. They don't have
they're
as
not
high end talent.
Top aspirations, really. I don't think. Yeah.
But they match up very well against Edmonton. That's a team I would be concerned about.
Yeah, and I think at this stage, too, that's what you worry about when you have collected a guy like McDavid and Draisaitl and shown your cards to the division. People can say, okay, that's how you stack up. This is how we're going to counter that. And you're right. I think the Kings have done a great job of building a team that does counter that, and that's all you. And if they keep knocking or keep providing some sort of a thorn to the Oilers, that's what they're built to do right now. And we, of course, we all know the Golden Knights and how they keep reinventing themselves on the fly, which is just, I mean, look, like it or not, and gripe about it or not. They're doing it all, and it's above board. If it was against the rules and everything, I mean, we can all say that they bend them or they find loopholes. Congrats to them. Pop the champagne. I mean, that's what you should be doing with a smart managerial staff.
I always love the conversations around cheating, that the Golden Knights are cheating Well, it was like the New England Patriots. I mean, in some cases they actually were going outside.
But they were proven. The Golden Knights have never been.
The Golden Knights have been superlative in finding weaknesses in the system, if you will, of the National Hockey League, and they've done a great job. I have no issue with how they've gone about their business. I applaud it.
Fergie's prostate in the nasty chat. Ian Ferguson chimes in. Bouchard is not the answer. I'm afraid. I'm also at Fan Zone. And maybe make sure to end all of your comments during the segment with hashtag Fan Zone. Bouchard's not the answer. What's the question? I guess is what I'll ask Fergie's prostate. Does he need to be the answer? I think we've gone over this at length. And Evan Bouchard and Trev, if you want to chime in here too, he's not a shutdown defenseman. He provides he provides a certain set of skills to which I think we're all warmed up to by now. We should be, right?
This is no surprise. Like, he is as advertised 100%, but we've talked about it at length. He's a slow starter. We saw it last year. We saw it the year before. And then you saw what he was able to do in the playoffs. So is he the answer? Like, I don't know. He broke Paul Coffey's record last year in the postseason, which is something that...
What was the record for?
Most assists.
Assists. So, I mean, but I think he's... we don't talk about him. We're still looking for a blue liner, so we still need a defensive, right?
But that's okay. This was never the conversation. Like, there was a few lapses, but who doesn't make lapses in the playoffs? So like that's the highest moments, right? You're gonna have mistakes. Matthias Ekholm made mistakes in the playoffs, right? He's not perfect, but I can tell you what, we entertained the idea of wow, he's actually changed a lot in the playoffs, like way more than wow. Like, he cost them a game. No, like, he won them more games than they lost. Like, he helped the Oilers so much in the playoffs last year.
If the question is we need a defenseman, a puck-moving defenseman who skates exceptionally well and has a tremendous shot and can run our power play, then yeah, he's the answer. But Chris Pronger is not walking back through the door.
No.
So if you're waiting around for the unicorn, you're not getting it out of him. I don't know what defenseman in the NHL right now that would fill that. No, he's giving you what I would expect and hope that Bouchard would give you.
Yeah, and again, I think we should all be warm to the fact of who he is and what he is right now, and you take the good with the bad in that sense. He's not a Chris Pronger. He's not a... and again, I think this team's still looking for some sort of assistance on the blue line. You look to fill in those gaps with whatever asset you bring in. Those will be the answer to the Bouchard question or what have you. Rip City Step applauding Fergie. Be brave, Fergie. Look, there's always going to be in a passionate fan base. There'll always be two sides to that debate, and that's fine. And sometimes people switch sides depending on the night. Some nights he might look like a Norris candidate based on the point production or whatever he does. Other nights his defensive lapses will leave you wanting more.
Paul Coffey.
But that's what I'm saying. But that's that type of defenseman. So just make peace with that. And
exactly.
Also need a 3C now, Loomis says. Joel says at this point, mistakes aren't acceptable in all caps. I know Joel usually texts in all caps, so I don't believe you're yelling at us, Joel. But, mistakes will happen, even at this stage. The thoughts on the 3C, though, for the Fan Zone here, for fansfirst.ca, by fans for fans, no fees. How high is that on your shopping list or in terms of need right now for this club? And I'll start with you,
I have
Dave.
complimentary defender. I'm going to say complimentary, a vet, a heavier presence. I think that's something that they lack a little bit to shoulder some of that load. But I would go defender and then a 3C.
Yeah. And Trev, in terms of 3C, does that resonate with you?
Well, I mean, you got Adam Henrique, and if he's not playing it, you got Nuge. You can throw him there. Like, I know Henrique hasn't lived up to. I mean, he's been very underwhelming, I'd say. So I get where you're coming at with that, but I wouldn't prioritize that when you've got two of the best Cs in the world. Yeah.
And I think the spine of this team, you do have options, as Trev said, and some guys, some nights playing on the wing, you can move people around quite a bit. I think in the strive for perfection, we sometimes lose the fact that, and again, going back to the comment there, mistakes aren't acceptable. They may not be, and we look at the money that pro athletes make these days, and sure, I mean, you're saying, they are human beings, and I think we say this so much about officiating as well.
Are you showing empathy right now?
I know it doesn't make for hot sports talk, but I mean, for crying out loud, This team will never be perfect in its construction, albeit you have the best 2 players in the world on it.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you that.
And with that comes some headaches in terms of the salary cap and how that's expected too. But I just, show me a path or show me some names. And not a fantasy, not a video game where I'm going to take the computer and I'm going to pry this guy off of there and bring that guy in from there, and I'm going to make this stack of a championship fantasy team roster. But realistically speaking, what now are you adding to this group? And by all means, and I'm not saying it tongue in cheek, give me names, give me routes, give me trade scenarios and how you make this work. With the exception of a Shea Weber, correct? You
Yes.
went over this earlier in the week, right?
Yes, we did.
Show me where you're improving this team. 780-218-9999. I'd love
and
to see it.
what are you willing to, and it's not, if I may,
Making it all
just
work.
a caveat.
Yeah.
It's not just what do you want, what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to give up?
And what's the other team accepting you to give up? Again,
Right.
we view this all through a blue and orange lens, and if we just give them a ham sandwich, hey, we'll take your 3C, sure, or whatever the case is. But realistically, where are you looking to improve this team? And maybe that's a bit of the homework. 780-218-9999. JT in LA says, I think they have a 3C down on the farm team. Draw up Frank. I think is that a typo there? But I think they have somebody down there they could bring up. And look, there's a guy by the name of Matt down there as well, right? Savoy.
Yes.
Philp. I mean,
Noah Philp.
I know the term looking internally with Team Canada has run its course already
Right.
on this show, but perhaps that's also a route that they take. Certainly they could take. Your thoughts on that, Trev? I mean, there are internal options, albeit how realistic and how soon would you be looking at those?
It is interesting because for the longest time you heard, and it was just the Oilers were always rushing their prospects, and it's just like they expect so much of them. And I know a lot of people are saying, no, like let him develop right now. Matt Savoy, in his case, he's doing good things right now, especially recently he's on a pretty good tear. And I honestly, I'm opposite right now. Like I think it now is the best time to bring up a prospect like Savoy. Like I feel like before, it was you're rushing a prospect and you're just thinking, everyone's thinking so highly of him, whether it was, Yamamoto or whoever. They're just like, they set up all these unrealistic expectations. Mm-hmm. But I feel like right now is the best case because you're not really expecting a heck of a whole lot out of this guy when you've got Connor and Leon. So none of the light's going to be on him. And if he starts performing, then good. Then you're doing the right thing. You watch what the Stars did with Stankoven last year, Matthew Nyes for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Like, you kind of bring them...
And I know this is a raw nerve for some.
Yeah.
Look at the way they brought along... I know there were lots of criticism of how they deployed Holloway, who is now left. Yes, I'm well aware of that. But you could see that there was sort of a logic to how they used him.
Yeah.
Sure.
100%. Yeah, so honestly, I'm for it right now. I feel like if you bring him in, there's really no expectations. It's kind of, and I think that's what the prospects need, especially if you're playing, in a Canadian market, a hockey crazy market. Just go out there and play some hockey. Don't worry, because you're not going to be getting any of the pressure right now. So I think it's actually no better time than to bring up a prospect like Savoy.
The Georgia Satellite says we're busy lighting torches over here. Ain't got time for no empathy. Hashtag insufferables. Hashtag fanzone as well. Zula says you need some size in the bottom six and a D that plays top 4 minutes. We may have already solved that, but again, give us the name. Give us who it is, what makes sense, and what do you think can be a realistic option for those two. Jonathan Taves and Shea Weber join the Oilers from JCD 780. Taves is still doing he's got the long COVID, and he was in India doing some
Yes, he was in
breathing
India.
exercises or something like that.
Yeah.
Very interesting stuff. They had an article about that, but I don't know.
It's a very,
I'm cheering for the guy.
Of course,
I just don't think
likewise.
right now in terms of building this team
hasn't played since 22. Do I have that correct? Is that when
something
we last
along those
saw him on
lines,
the
a
ice?
couple years, hey, or something.
Yeah, they brought him. He came back to retire, right? As a Hawk, wasn't that the?
Yeah.
Okay. No, you want. I'd like to see him exhaust
Yes.
things because I think if anybody, well, there are other players too of his ilk, but if he hasn't sort of reconciled, okay, I'm not done yet. I just want to see how far I can push this before I say, no joy.
Yeah, and I think it was maybe a JCD 780 tongue-in-cheek with Taves and then mentioning Shea Weber joining the Oilers as well. So I
Yes,
get where
of
you're going
course.
there. Maybe not a realistic option, but hey, we wish him well. Allegedly, Gudas won't play north of the border, Loomis says, and that comes off Oil Patch Dan saying Radko Gudas. I know Tide was always banging that drum for a while. I don't really have any... I don't see it as a fit. I don't really...
Oh, let your mind wander for a moment.
Sure,
Radko
sure.
Gudas
He's the
is a
captain of the
nasty bit
Ducks.
of
He's a
work.
captain.
You think
You're
they let him go? He's
Quite
the
right.
captain.
Quite right.
Why did he leave?
Those uniforms and everything. Where's it here? I wanted to get this. Millwood's Matt has an issue with the Kings cheating. We were talking about the Knights, but he's got an issue with the Kings cheating. D-Rock says, would you rather have Yakupov or Jeff Skinner? LOL. Let's laugh out loud. I'll let that hang in the air as well. But this is the fan zone for fans first, by fans, for fans, no fees. Get your tickets if you are looking to go to the Oilers tomorrow night. They're at home to Radko Gudas and the Ducks. Fansfirst.ca is where you can go get a deal on those tickets. And again, if you get them via Fans First, go to the game, yell at Fans First randomly, as Dave Jameson randomly will play a button here. I mean, press any, yeah.
Hang on a sec here.
Yeah.
I like this.
I like that.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to...
I
like that. That was good.
I'm just hitting buttons.
I love it.
love
No,
it.
I want you mashing
I
throughout the
haven't
show.
really used the Roadcaster Duo before, so expect more of this stuff.
I want more.
Yeah.
I need more, and I think I
awesome.
echo the listeners and viewers today as well.
Yes.
The Nielson Show coming to you live from the Popeyes Louisiana kitchen as well. It is the first place that I eat when I enter back into the province, coming back from Saskatchewan on that Lloydminster border. It's delicious. I got the boneless wings, the hot classic, just classic hot. Didn't get the ghost, nothing like that. Dave packs a punch.
Which, the ghost or all of them?
Just the hot, the classic hot.
Yeah.
It's if you are looking to clear out some sinus stuff or anything like that, that hot, that spice, I tell you, good fountain pops, great sides in the mac and cheese and the mashed potatoes, and you get the biscuit, which everybody loves. But go check out Popeyes today. Anytime they are the studio sponsor here for the Nielsen Show. 6:58. Let's get to a sports update right now with YouTube Trev. On the way, once again, our guest of the day, Luke Gazdic. He'll be by from Sportsnet. We'll take a deeper dive into the Oilers, the year it was, the year that's to come for them as well, World Juniors and the NHL at large. Cool bet. I got beef and that hurts. All in the way in hour number 2. It's Lieutenant Eric, Dave Jameson in for Dustin Nielsen and YouTube Trev here on the Nielsen Show. Your clear choice for Edmonton Sports, EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Only one game in the NHL last night, which saw the Kings blank the Devils 3-0. Tonight in the NHL, 12 games, which sees the Maple Leafs take on the Islanders, the Senators take on the Stars, the Jets host the Ducks, the Utah Hockey Club visits the Flames, and the Kraken will play the Canucks. Yesterday in the WHL, 5 games, including the Oil Kings losing to the Hitmen 4-1 is the score. The Oil Kings will be back in action on Friday at Rogers Place to take on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. In the World Juniors, the quarterfinals starts today, which has 5 games, including Team Canada going up against Czechia. Puck drop for this one goes at 5:30. Other games include Kazakhstan taking on Germany, Latvia going up against the Swedes, Switzerland taking on the Americans, and Slovakia is set to play Finland. And to finish things off in the association, the Raptors start the year on a high note as they get their first win in 11 games. The Raptors defeat the Nets 130-113. And we'll be back in action tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. Game starts at 5:30. The Sports Update is brought to you by Green Plan, providing you with award-winning environmental and consulting services. Whether it's municipal, industrial, or residential, plan it right with Green Plan. Visit green-plan.com or give them a call at 780-455-4292.
What say you? Hey, nasty crew. We got the Nielsen Show flu, and there's nothing we can do about it. What say you? Hey, nasty crew. My wife thinks I got better things to do, but there's nothing I can do about it. Tuning in on TuneIn, we're listening online. We catch up with the podcast when we fall behind. We're texting in the nasty chat, what's on our mind. 780-218-9999. No more interference from corporate interest. Just Dusty and Eric and all of the bad cats. Like Wyszynski and Noodles, Gazdic and Gage. Maybe it's fun but a cool band to make a little wager. We can't wait for the Monday Mandate. Shaggy's always on time. Tommy's always late.
Would you like a cup of tea?
Forget about the old place. Hey, we were number one in the text race. We don't miss all the commercial breaks, but we sure miss Nickelback today. We wanna hear some hot takes and we wanna hear Renee. Why not hold the neck up, why not wanna kids away? Beat us the tire fire and remember that name. We love every goal song, but what about the games? Macarona, Rapaport, Dragger, Engineer. It ain't Christmas season, but they sound like reindeer. Button and my cousin and the tales of the North. All about him giving present, Dusty go forth. What say you? AM Nasty Crew. We got the Nielson show flu. And there's nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing we can do about it. And there's nothing we can do about it.
7:02, it is the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports. Minus 20 out in Edmonton right now. It's going to be cold over the next couple. We'll start warming up beginning of next week, but a chilly couple of days and maybe a little snow as well come Saturday for Edmonton and area. 780-218-9999 is the number to text. A&W, $20 to that on the line for text of the day today. A good morning to everybody listening on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps, and a good morning to everybody on YouTube as well. We've surpassed that 11,000 subscribers mark. Good to see. We'll have more on that come Monday. We'll see if Dusty ate or will eat the pickled herring. But if you are watching on YouTube this morning, love to have you. Love to see you. And get active on that nasty chat. It is humming as well. We got a great rest of the show. 2 more hours to go. Myself, Lieutenant Eric, Dave Jameson filling in for Dusty Nielsen again. YouTube Trev as well, keeping you up to date on the sports. We'll get into our guest of the day right now, Sportsnet's Luke Gazdic, and he's brought to you by the fine folks at Pro-Am Sports. The Cooks and Boys, the Cooks and Elves. I think they were the Cooks and Elves before Christmas. They now morph back into the Cooks and Boys. Yep. And they'll take care of you leading up to Super Bowl, NFL playoffs, Stanley Cup run, all those things. Check them out today, proamsports.ca. Luke Gazdic of Sportsnet joins us. I want to get your thoughts, Luke. Happy New Year as well. Are you more of a champagne and smooching New Year's Eve guy, or are you kind of in the wrapper, 10:30, not a drip, getting a good rest and waking up New Year's Day bright and early, making yourself some breakfast? Where are you kind of at in terms of your life and how you celebrate New Year's?
I'm not gonna lie, guys. In my in my second profession here, it's 3 years in a row now. I've had the New Year's Eve shift at the studio doing the regional games. I was taking care of Calgary and Vancouver, and I was taking care of Utah at Edmonton. So I barely got home for the ball drop. No, I'm getting older. I was straight home and actually watched the highlights when I got home. So a little more hockey now.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're a working man. You are. I think Rita McNeil had the song, right? Yes, she had that working man. But that's good to hear. And again, it's one of those things where, I think when you probably had a little fun at the studio, right? I mean, it's New Year's Eve. You guys all kind of, exchange some pleasantries and whatnot, but you get home and watch the highlights, and that's good. So Happy New Year. I'm glad you enjoyed it, and we look forward to having you for the rest in the stretch drive here. We'll get to the Oilers. We'll get to the NHL picture as well. We want to start, though, Dave and I, with World Juniors, Luke, and kind of your thoughts on this Canada squad that's been assembled. A big view, I guess. The loss to Latvia, good for Latvia. It was a great story in a tournament where there's, normally top heaviness. Canada's shooting percentage quite low in this tournament as a whole. They've gotten a lot of volume, maybe not a lot of quality. We saw penalties and discipline, the issue in the loss to the States. We've heard about coaching. We've heard about team selection. Where do you kind of come out and where do you rest as it stands? I mean, tournament's not over yet. Quarterfinals action to come later tonight. But where do you stand on the issue, the number one issue for Luke Gazdic plaguing this team right now?
Oh, man. Well, they have their work cut out for them, do they? That Czechia team's not going to give them an easy match here. Okay, I think the microcosm for me is, here we go. This is what I'll say. So Bonk, who plays the bumper for the London Knights in the OHL, they have I think they're the second best power play in the CHL. He gets the World Junior Camp in. Dave Cameron puts him on the point for the PP. And Bonk says, I've never played here before. I'm not really sure what to do. I'm usually in the bumper. That's coaches instantly overthinking things and just trying to, reinvent the wheel when you have something that works. I look at that more of a macro for selection too, where they tried to maybe get a little too cute and a little too smart with it when it was like, maybe we should just take the best players available right now. When these kids are 19 years old, I think they left off 4 or 5 guys. I love Bennett Seneca. I've got to see him a lot in Ontario here. He's an absolute stud. One guy I thought was a no-brainer on the team, and I think they're missing that now. Like, I think they're missing a little bit of jam. The Latvia game was one thing. Like, you can get goalied. And I know people don't want to hear that, but you can get goalied. You can play against a guy who's just not going to let anything in the entire night. You should find a way. But the other night versus Germany was the one where I was like, now you're kind of showing your stripes here. And I think they have the team that can do it. They just got to finish here. And I think it just took them a long way to get here. And that's tough when the tournament is so short, when you don't have the chemistry right off the bat, and when you're trying to do things that are, I don't know, you just kind of shake your head at. It's like you had 3, I'll go back to the London thing. Like, their power play struggled in the first couple games. You have 3 of the 5 guys on the London Knights power play. Just put them together. Just let them play there. It's a seamless transition. So it's stuff like that just drives me nuts. But at the end of the day, like, they still have a really good hockey team, and I think they're going to be fine. But this Czechia team is going to give them a real tough battle.
Luke, questions around discipline, and you as a former player, how do they get corrected? Because, coaches can have pronouncements at the podium and talk all about it, but how do those things get corrected inside the room and on the bench?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the one thing I didn't touch on was undisciplined penalties. So Dave Cameron had an interview yesterday where he's like, they said, what are you going to do this? And he's like, I don't know what you want me to do. I can't do anything. And I don't think people like to hear that, but he did continue by saying, he said, this is a short tournament. You can't really start benching guys. It's a tough tournament to be holding guys accountable when it's so short. This falls on the players, to be honest. It is bizarre to me that you would go out there and even think about taking your team down with undisciplined offensive zone penalties 200 feet from your net. I mean, it's just unacceptable. So this falls down to the players. I would assume they sat around, like, these guys have probably had some meetings themselves, the boys, and been like, hey, we're no more of this. Like, we are not doing this anymore. This is not our MO. If we're going to play hard, stay out of the box. But that's probably the number one thing right now. If they want to spend the whole game killing penalties, like, the gap is starting to get smaller and smaller every year, right? And teams are really coming around. So I think that's probably the biggest problem that's plaguing them right now.
And you mentioned too, Luke. I mean, they're not. I guess in Canada we sometimes fall victim to if you don't go undefeated, you're a bad team, quote unquote, or whatever. I mean, they still have quality, they still possess it, they're still in the mix here, and they have the benefit of home ice as well behind them. I just wanted to get your thoughts too on the opposition. You mentioned them a couple times in Czechia. What will be, I guess, the stiffest test facing Canada tonight in that Czechia team?
Okay, so I compare this Czechia team to basically every Czech guy I've ever played with, and they work. Actually, there's probably some Oilers fans out there yelling about Ales Hemsky right now. I'll chirp Hemmer right now. Maybe he wasn't 100% all the time, but he was 100% most of the time. But all the Czech guys that I played with through my career knew nothing but work. Like, it was just a staple of their game. It was a non-negotiable for them. When they were suiting up for practice or a game, 100% to 110% work effort was every time for every Czech guy. They worked hard, they played hard. That was what I got from them. It's going to be a game where this reminds me of I'm like tying in the Oilers now. It reminds me of the Oilers on Sunday versus the Ducks, because I just think the gap with these teams has gotten smaller and smaller. It's not a tournament anymore where Canada's going to walk in, even if they're at home, and beat everybody 6-0. Like, if you take the foot off the gas for one period, they're coming, right? And they're not going to just lay over just because you're Canada. So I think it's just going to be another one of those games where they have to take it to them, especially on home ice here. Like, start to assert your dominance a little bit, but know that, this team is not going to take the foot off the gas on the other side.
Luke, you worked the Utah Oilers game, and you just referenced the Anaheim game. Compare and contrast the Oiler performance in those two.
Oh, well, I did think they were much better on New Year's Eve, but it's a microcosm for both teams. Anyone that's sub-playoffs, I think the Oilers are bad at this. They get into habits where if you get up in a game, you're up 3-1 in a game, whether it was LA on Saturday, it's the Ducks on Sunday. Teams are too good if you stop playing for any amount of time, especially a team like the Ducks that has the offensive firepower they do, maybe they don't have the big boys on defense, but Lucas Dostal's playing some good hockey. And if you want to stop playing, like they're going to turn it around on you. I think Utah just doesn't have the upper firepower. So when it gets to the nitty gritty against a team like the Oilers, they don't have the guys that can really step up. That ended up getting them the dub on New Year's Eve. But I look at a game again like tonight, like they should have that Sunday game in their memory and just be like, this is not going to be the same story. I see teams that if you stop playing for any amount, man, they're coming. They're coming. And especially with a good young goaltender like Lucas Dostal.
Yeah, Oilers, again, at home to the Ducks, looking for a little revenge tomorrow. They'll visit the Kraken. They actually go out east for 3 as well after that in Boston, Pittsburgh, and Chicago before returning home mid-January to host the Kings, who are, still sticking around. And Dave brought it up earlier today, and being built to beat an Oilers team. There are fans out here, though, that would just say, it's giving the Oilers another first-round bye, so to speak, and then kind of looking past them. This version of the LA Kings this year, as opposed to other years and other playoff meetings, from an Oilers fan point, would you say should be more scary, less scary? I don't know. They're ahead of them in the standings right now, and you can go by points and collected or what have you. But in terms of how they're built right now, what level of, I guess, concern, if the playoffs were to start today, would you put into the LA Kings?
It's a good hockey team. You know what? I was kind of excited to watch that game last night because, hey, I don't get me started on why the Winter Classic wasn't yesterday or whether it was the day before, but there's 12 other games with it. It's part of my New Year's is sitting down watching the Winter Classic. It's the only game on the tube, but it was New Jersey last night, and that's two teams that play completely different schemes stylistically. Jersey is run and gun. They love to play a smaller, skilled, fast game. That's the makeup of their team. That's how they score goals. They love to drive the offense. The Kings are sit back. They don't play as defensive as they do, but they're bigger, they're heavier. They play that man-on-man defense that I talk about in zone that is extremely tough to play unless you have the horses that are going to play it. And they made it work. Like, they're getting the goaltending now. They're getting the saves. Yeah. I still think, like, whenever people ask me about this, they still say, they still got to go through Edmonton, Vegas, whoever it is in the first round. That sucks to get out of your division. But if there's any team that looks like it can do it right now, this is a team playing some really good hockey. They do not make it easy on you. They play hard defensively. Jack Hughes, Jesper Bratt, these guys last night were trying to run around, pull ISOs in the D zone, and these big horses on defense like Gavrikov and freaking Edmondson, who everyone was, myself included, working the desk free agency going, Edmondson got what? And now last night I'm watching them and I'm like, this is a big defenseman that is playing some good hockey. I think Warren Fogle slid in seamlessly there for their system.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
playing in straight lines, scoring a lot of goals. We had his 10th goal the other night. That was an addition, I think, too, that I don't want to say overpay, but you have to give guys at free agency. The moves they've brought in have been good. Jim Hiller's got these guys playing some good hockey. Quentin Byfield's absolute stud. Like, only good things to say about this team, especially from watching them last night. I just thought, here's a Devils team, doesn't want to lose 3 in a row, probably going to come in and skate circles around these boys. And they just said, And their home record as well. I think it's eight in a row now. They're approaching a franchise record for consecutive home wins. So they're playing really good on home ice.
Luke, just a quick thought on the Vancouver Canucks situation. It has been, an unsettled time with what appears to be internal strife, whether it's real or imagined. What do you imagine that dressing room is like and has been like for Rick Tocchet to keep a handle on, and how do you think they've done navigating, which has been a tough situation there?
Oh, man, there's so many layers and levels to it. Yeah. And I just think I've played in so many dressing rooms that didn't work. Like, there were battles between players, whether it was groups of guys, whether it was, a leader versus a younger guy. And I had the benefit of playing in a lot of spots where you don't have 15 cameras after every single game in practice asking about what's happening. I do think that's one of the things that I haven't loved about it so much is how public it's become. Like, we're talking about it on national TV about the battles that they're having internally, when I think that's an internal battle. Like, I think that is something that they can take care of behind closed doors. It's a tough situation. Anywhere you're going to play in Canada is going to be under the microscope. And it's probably the hardest challenge they've had with it, is having to stand in front of the media and answer questions about it, when I know that I've been on teams that there's days, there's weeks, there's years, there's whole groups of teams that I'm sitting there going, man, it's not working. It's not working. GMs have had to go out and deal players and get the right group of guys there. At the end of the day, it falls on your leadership group and it falls on your coaching to just make it work. But I think they have had not the benefit. They've had to stand in front of that media and take care of this for a while. So I think that's probably been the toughest part. I think they're going to be fine. It's a really good hockey team. They'll figure out their issues. It's hockey at the end of the day. Guys just want to play, but I can say that I've been on teams before where it's been like that, and it's a tough situation.
It's a good team and a good division, Luke. And we didn't even mention the Vegas Golden Knights in that chat, but we appreciate your time. And Canada, too, playing as a pro, not easy as you mentioned, and even playing in a World Junior Championship at home tonight for Canada. Hopefully that gives them a little better, push and momentum as opposed to the pressures of playing on home ice. But we appreciate your thoughts on the juniors, the Oilers, and the NHL, Luke. Enjoy. Once again, Happy New Year, and we'll talk in a couple Thursdays.
Yeah, no problem. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, Luke.
Sportsnet's Luke Gazdic there for your full hockey picture, courtesy Pro-Am Sports. Check them out today at proamsports.ca. I guess we'll start with the World Juniors pulling what away there. I mean, again, you can kind of look at the different games played in the Germany one, albeit a win as well, not with the strong armness that Canada usually possesses. The Latvia one was just, again, good goaltending. I thought Latvia did a good job of keeping Canada out to the perimeter as well. Good shot volume, but not good shot quality. But again, I think we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. This Canadian team is still a good hockey team somewhere in there.
But Luke referenced something that I think we skip by, certainly here in Canada, how the gap has narrowed over the years. And there was a time with the World Juniors when, the countries played decidedly different styles of hockey, and some very successfully. We know what Canada used to be and how they played, and I think they haven't lost their DNA necessarily. But if you go in, your expectation as a fan going into this tournament in this day and age is that Canada will simply out heavy all of their competition. Those days are over, because Sweden can come at you and play that, and these countries now are playing Canadian hockey.
Yeah, and I think, unfortunately, as you mentioned, that thought process is still baked into a lot of minds, specifically here.
It is.
Just assuming you're going to go in, and I think...
Well, there's an arrogance. There's a national arrogance.
But I think, too, when there's a certain amount of money and time and effort and all that pumped into the program, much like the Americans in the United States program, which is really clicking right now, you do feel that you should maybe narrowed a bit, but you should still be on that sharper edge, I guess. But again, I like it. I think it's great for the tournament. It's great stories. It's great. Hell, even Kazakhstan the other day doing what they're doing. Long may it be. That's the point of having a tournament where sports only played in this hemisphere of the earth.
You said it earlier today. Yes, this would sting. And the tournament is not over. So I'm being a little
we all are
early on this. But if things don't correct here shortly, like right away, it stings even more because you're at home.
That's if this is going on at 5 a.m. in Prague, that's something that can kind of you it still stings. I get it, and it's still a tournament, and there's still, but on home ice in the nation's capital, the capital, our HQ, Dave,
yes,
of hockey, supposedly. I don't know, but some people might debate that, but it's one of those things, and I think that's what makes the victory for Latvia all the more sweeter, obviously, doing it here. They don't just beat Canada on neutral ice, they beat them in Canada. Same with the States.
Their goaltender will be on a stamp. Hey, remember when being on a stamp was the highest honor?
They were dancing to Chaperone in the streets, right? They had a stat holiday or whatever many years ago. Once again, Luke Gazdic for Pro-Am Sports. Check them out today, proamsports.ca. Let's get into your Coolbet Canada hotline of the day as well. Coolbet.com is where you can go. We do got Canada Czechia tonight. Canada plus 310 on the money line. plus 1.5 as well on the spread. Or pardon me, that's Czechia. Sorry, spoke too soon there. Czechia plus 310 on the money line, plus 1.5 on the spread. Canada minus 414 on the money line and minus 1.5 on the spread. So you can get some action there for the Canada-Czechia quarterfinal. All the rest as well. They also have the slate for Week 18 in the NFL up already. And tonight's Sugar Bowl, Notre Dame Irish and Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia minus 109 on the money line, Notre Dame minus 112. And Notre Dame right now -1 on the spread, just a -1.
Oh,
so
come on now.
essentially a pick 'em
Come
here
on.
tonight, which should be interesting down in New Orleans, the All-State Sugar Bowl, Georgia and Notre Dame, rounding out the college football quarterfinal portion of the playoffs. So if you want to bet on the college tonight, the NFL week to come, or the World Juniors this evening as well, head up to coolbet.com. That's where you can go. Notre Dame or Georgia tonight, who you got? It is a pick 'em. Who would you say? Spin the wheel in your mind. Where does it land?
Georgia.
The Bulldogs. You're going SEC
Dogs.
football.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Screw that independent, crap. Yeah, they don't know what they're doing there. Also, the night in the NHL, we just had one game, as mentioned with our conversation with Luke. The Kings shutting out the Devils. It's funny, he was describing that Devils team. Sounds oddly familiar to the team we... and how the Kings handle them. Anyways, I'll leave it at that. But NHL schedule picking back up as well tonight with a handful of games. Panthers at home to the Canes. That should be a good one. Capitals at home to the Wild. That should also be fairly entertaining as well. Leafs on the road visiting the Islanders. Jets hosting the Ducks, who will be in town tomorrow night to take on the Oilers. So getting Anaheim off the back end of a 2 games in 2 nights affair there. Utah and Calgary. Golden Knights are at home to the Flyers. The Kraken host the Canucks. And the Lightning visit the Sharks.
Slate.
This is a full slate.
It is a full slate.
You can put together a huge parlay up at coolbet.com for the night in the NHL. Maybe sprinkle some Sugar Bowl on that as well. Coolbet.com is where you can go. Stay cool, bet responsibly with our friends at Coolbet. Coming up, we got I Got Beef as well for Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats, and that hurts for James H. Brown Injury Lawyers. That is on the way prior to the end of the second hour. This is the Nielson Show. We are presented to you by South Fort Chevrolet. Drive a little, save a lot. www.southfortchev.com. Start your new year off right. Go visit them out in Fort Saskatchewan. I know you can reserve your 2025 Equinox Trax and Traverse now as well. 2025 Silverado Custom payments as low as $199 bi-weekly. See them for details. Once again, www.southfortchev.com. Wanted to go somewhere, Dave, with you here while we have a few minutes. And you were doing a lot of work with the Edmonton Elks.
I was.
Well, should we say the past, year and change or
thereabouts.
what?
Yeah, close to a year. Yeah.
You've been around, you've been running around as you did at the old place, opening windows, cleaning tables, that type of thing.
That's right. We saw each other one night when I was running around cleaning tables by Legends. I think you and I passed each other by the Legends Club.
Yeah, I do recall now.
Yes.
I don't. My memories from Commonwealth were real foggy during the summer months, but I did see that. You now I just wanted to get your thoughts because I know Hernan was around the team
Yes,
in
he was.
employment there.
For 2.5 years.
He's now doing EST afternoons here later on this afternoon with Joaquin Gage, Edmonton Sports Talk, Monday to Friday. But and I'm sure Maddie probably picked your brain over the past couple of days, but now it's my turn. The vibe of this team now, Will Fraser was in for the shows where they kind of knocked down the dominoes. You had the Prez.
Yes.
And we said, you have to do this in uniform. This can't be, let's bring in a guy who thinks this guy should play this guy, and then he hires the coach. They did it all in uniform. I think they hit it out of the park in terms of who the personnel are. The Killam one maybe caught a few people off guard, maybe by surprise out there. But I think people have not warmed up to that, but made a lot more sense of it since it was announced. But I just wanted to get your vibes and the temperature check on Commonwealth, on the Elks org, because we've been doing some heavy lifting over the last couple of years. And
oh, yeah.
The tailgate, again, as I professed, one of, if not the best, I mean, it's Grey Cup week bi-weekly here at Commonwealth outside the gates for that tailgate. You would never know that the team was in turmoil on the field as they were or behind the scenes.
Let me say this about that community, that world out there, that ecosystem outside of Gate 2.
It is humming, baby.
It's the best thing that's happened at Commonwealth Stadium around the experience of going to a game that I don't think there has been something as substantial as that. Certainly, when I worked there back starting in '98 for 14 seasons, we had the benefit of large crowds, a 34 straight years in the playoffs, high expectations for ourselves and from the fans. You just turned on the lights and the scoreboard. Check. Is this thing on? And they played football.
Yeah.
Now, the consumer wants more than that. We didn't have tailgating. We didn't have all of the stuff that is a very big part of what fans want to experience and should experience when they come out there. They've made an investment. So, but no, what you were saying about tailgate is absolutely true for those who haven't experienced it. And I know of people that just go to tailgate and don't actually go through the gates to watch the game inside.
Yeah.
However you
Sure.
consume, and we love you for it. But to the football side of things, there are legitimate, qualified, authentic, genuine football people running the organization again.
And this guy this is the person. We can all come here and flap our gums and say what we think and feel.
I know Chris
Finger on the
Morris.
pulse.
I know Chris Morris as a player. Obviously, I was with him from 98 till he lifted the cup in 05 and retired. We know him as head coach of the Golden Bears.
And Will made an astute point as well that he's a type of guy that doesn't need to be doing X's and O's or finance. This is all about it. This is an attitude position,
correct,
in a sense.
which you saw on display at his press conference, right? At the time, I said it was an inspiring choice of an inspiring individual. So, no, does he come with a pedigree of, running startups and being a business person? No, but it can be learned. It's not a complex business, but it's not easy. And so I know he's learning on the fly. Lots of things that go into being, running a football team successfully. And then you go out and you make your hire of a general manager. Well, Ed Hervey has now run 3 clubs, right, in the CFL. Well, coming back to Edmonton, and has run the Lions and was the GM in Hamilton. And he knows a thing or two about winning and knows a thing or two about how to build a winning CFL team. So that box checked. Perfect. The Killam hire, he's been the hot guy for a few years.
Interviews
exceptionally
he knows
well,
that down,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
knows all of that. But what I really like is his experience and his body of work, but the fact he comes from special teams. And it's been said by people far brighter in the area of football coaching than me. But teams guys who come from that, they have to that role forces you to touch pretty much all of the elements of a football team. You get to know the personnel broadly. You're not narrow focused on O or D. And so the special teams coaches come in, I think, with a really, really wide lens.
Well-rounded brain.
Absolutely.
And the refrain from
Absolutely.
players league-wide
Yes.
was pretty good. And I do feel, too, that, and we always talk about it, in a 9-team league, it's hard to always say, oh, you got so many coaches, they're recycling or whatever. And we say that with a lot of leagues, with a lot of personnel out there. It's easier when you have loads of personnel as opposed to just 9 teams. But I think going to a guy that is on the younger side of the age, but has also been around as long as he has interviewed as much as he has a familiarity with as many players as he does. I think you've seen this recently with the appointments of a Mace, those
Corey Mace,
types of guys who know the current game, aren't too far removed from it, and can connect with a lot of these guys on an equal level.
I have been away from the team, and I wasn't, I met some players during my time recently with the team, but it's different when you're on the inside and you're around young athletes. The old line was the players get younger and you get older. Well, now I'm of an age when I could be one of their parents, but the players of today don't want to be coached the way
Yelled at
Kay
and
Stevenson
yeah.
and Tom Higgins and Hugh Campbell, people that I'm very familiar with and worked with. They don't want to be coached that way. They don't want to be treated that way. So, Mark Killam is a young guy with lots of experience, but is, I think, uniquely qualified to be coaching young men in 2025 and hopefully for years beyond. The other thing I really hope, and I believe it's going to happen with the trio we've just mentioned, is that there is going to be a consistent leadership, which means people aren't going to be cycled through every 2 and 3 years. I mean, that's the hallmark of what Edmonton used to do, the Eskimos, was they won a lot, they won consistently, and yes, there was change in the roster year over year, but not substantive. Coaches were often here for a number of years, and the same applied to the front office. And that hasn't happened for 5 or 6 years. So, the football team, we all know that. That's the public-facing part of this, has not been good. But off the field, there have been significant challenges as well, and I think that that's the thing that Chris Morris and the group, they're a very young and talented group, are going to correct. They need to correct it, but I think with the leadership of the Thompson group, Deb and Larry, and the team there, it's not an easy fix, but better days are sooner than later. And
it starts at the top with the Thompsons, and we failed to mention that as well. But I think, again, you get that whole house in order, the results ultimately will come on the field. I mean, that's just how you have to get the behind the scenes. So I kind of wanted your thoughts on what was going on there behind the door, stuff that we don't normally see. Mm-hmm. And again, we can always glance through the window, peek in, and say, "Oh, it looks like it's better now." I don't know, but it's good to hear somebody from the inside saying that and professing that, and a standard set in-house to lead to results and success outside the house. So we'll look forward to that. Of course, the CFL tampering window looming large. Cody,
I love that it's a tampering window.
Baby, we're going to have some fun with this. You just wait. And we've got some great ideas cooked up for the CFL tampering window. That'll get going now. We are into the new year, January, February, that type of thing. So we do have a Dunya AGM as well to get to sooner rather than later, I hope. Some big news that'll shake the foundations of the Dunya as well that you might be... we'll get to more of that off air, but let's get to a sports update right now. We'll be back with I Got Beef for Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats. I know Dave's got a beef here pertaining to football, I do believe, of the National Football League variety, and that hurts for James H. Brown Injury Lawyers. It is the Nielson Show, presented by Southford Chevrolet, Lieutenant Eric, Dave Jameson, YouTube chat for the sports update here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Only one game in the NHL last night, which saw the Kings blank the Devils 3-0. Tonight in the NHL, 12 games, which sees the Maple Leafs take on the Islanders, the Senators take on the Stars, the Jets host the Ducks, the Utah Hockey Club visits the Flames, and the Kraken will play the Canucks. Yesterday in the WHL, 5 games, including the Oil Kings losing to the Hitmen 4-1. The Oil Kings will be back in action on Friday at Rogers Place to take on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. In the World Juniors, the quarterfinals starts today, which has 5 games, including Team Canada going up against Czechia. Puck drop for this one goes at 5:30. Other games include Kazakhstan taking on Germany, Latvia going up against the Swedes, Switzerland taking on the Americans, and Slovakia is set to play Finland. And to finish things off in the association, the Raptors start the year on a high note as they get their first win in 11 games. The Raptors defeat the Nets 130-113 and will be back in action tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. Game starts at 5:30. This sports update is brought to you by the fine folks at Park Mazda and dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, your dealer for life.
Hi there. If you're like me, you like to picture yourself in luxury, even though there's absolutely no way you could afford it. And if you can, well, even better. Thankfully, I picture myself in something that is luxury, but still absolutely affordable, like the all-new Mazda CX-90 from Park Mazda. With the new luxury features like facial recognition settings and quilted detail Napa leather seating, I can pretend to be comfortable with all of my proper settings activated without even touching a button, thanks to Mitch Lewicki and the great staff at Park Mazda. I like to picture Mitch Lewicki as a figure skater. He wears like a white outfit and he does interpretive ice dances to my life's journey.
Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park off Y Road, parkmazda.ca.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
This is the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart TuneIn Radio app and on YouTube. This is kind of like the intro to what do they call them? The Whoop Up Days down there, the parade. Hey, this is what they'd be playing. Trev's dressed as a clown. This is the music they're playing, and he's walking around with the long pole in the bucket.
It's fitting. Yes, that was good. That was nostalgic.
We were talking parades earlier today in the opening hour. I just, loosely discussed, but I think if you toss this idea by one Matthew Iwanek, and sometimes you got to be careful sharing an idea with him because he'll latch onto that puppy like
like a mongoose.
Finally, you've used that.
Yes.
But he, an old EST float. Somebody did text in an AI image of one. Maybe we'll award text of the day to the AI image of the EST float. But
we have not mentioned this, but Tube can join in the fray here. Atif used AI earlier in the week, Eric. You were not aware
Monday.
of this. Yeah, do you want to explain what went down there and how?
What was it?
Atif
It
on
was a poem. It was a poem. Yeah, I forget what we were discussing.
An EST poem.
Yeah, but
has he bought a membership yet, Atif?
No, he has
he's
not.
not a card-carrying member, yet he expects to get all the privileges and everything that a card-carrying member would. So he's a bit of a fraud, really. I don't use the term lightly.
Yeah, so
He's a fraud.
He is a fraud,
And now using AI even adds to the fraud.
He starts off. Here's a funny poem about EST. And so...
Can you read it like Atif?
Oh, gosh, no, I cannot. But I know you can. That's the only thing we were missing. Maddie said
Yeah,
that.
I'm told the Atif voice.
Oh, Dave, you don't even know.
It's so good. It's so good. But then this text has all these commas, it's just perfect. And so right out of the gate, Maddie and I would kind of look at each other and we're like, yes, this was funny, Atif, but we don't think you wrote this. We think it's Chat GPT.
Yeah.
And it was also confessions, so he confessed that, yes, this wasn't his product. But we called him out, and then he had a funny poem. He ended up coming together with a funny poem at the end of the show, which was awarded the text of the day. But, it wasn't.
I see it now.
It wasn't.
Yeah, I'm kind of going through it. He likes to do long text. I mean, he does paragraphs of text. I think it's a lot of voice to text. So he's got all the, it's just a story. He's got a pub crawl story. 6:25 from today. He used to go to parades, he said, in medieval day parades in Sherwood Park. Can you believe it? I'd always hang onto the back of bumpers of vehicles and wave to the crowd as I'm just hopping. The person driving doesn't hit the gas or I'd be badly injured. You've met Atif before, haven't you?
I
Wheels,
have.
yeah, a very interesting fellow. But I do miss him at the Central Casino Sports Bar and Lounge every Monday and Thursday night for NFL regular season.
Is he no longer coming out to it, or is it because it's
I'm
over?
done. We're done.
Oh,
yeah,
you're
we're
done. Yes, okay.
But we will see again, Atif, a regular to the Elks
Well, you're
tailgate
going
as
to
well.
do
As we were
playoffs.
discussing.
Are you doing playoffs?
We will
out
be
there?
Super Bowling there,
yeah.
Central Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, I'm sure. We will be doing some sort of last year's Super Bowl party. Hey, Trev, that was woo. Hey,
I don't remember much, but
we got rooms there because we had to stay overnight because we got so banged up.
I don't know. I think it's the bosses if we're programming the morning of this year.
We should EST stat.
Yeah, EST stat. I know he was warming up to that
We
idea.
can take
a
whatever
lot.
time off we want now, too. That's the beauty of having our
clutch.
own.
Oh, yeah.
That was my first.
Yeah, what happens if someone doesn't show up at EST?
Well,
for
Trev,
a show,
do you-
what happens?
Well, the Super Bowl last year, I was 37 minutes late.
He was
I
MIA.
believe, so it was tough, and that's when we had Zach. I was supposed to be training him, but Maddie, God bless Maddie, he was there. Thank God, because if the show wouldn't have been able to air if I wasn't there, or if Maddie wasn't there. But it was Zach, and so I got there at 6:37. And
you guys
produced
know
the
these
rest of
aren't like an
was
optional
tough.
skate where
Yes.
you can kind of opt in.
No,
and
I know
opt out of doing
it was bad. It
shows.
was bad. I remember I laid down. It was like 5 o'clock when I finally got to bed, and I was like, oh, should I just stay up? I'm like, no, I'll be good. And then next thing I know, just out, and my alarm clock didn't go off, or maybe it did. I don't know, but I woke
I'm sure
up.
it did.
But I woke up, I'm like, oh crap, and then it was tough. The Nasties, no, it was not my best moment.
But
Do you remember, wasn't there a draft that Nielson was late for a show and Fraser had to start? Remember? And Dusty was.
I think it was in Old Town Chicago, I do believe. And
yes.
Fraser and I had to kind of captain that one. It happens to everybody, right? That's kind of
it's a way on you.
Yeah, but you got to move on. You got to you learn. As long as we learn, right? Are our children learning? Wasn't that a phrase as well?
President Bush.
We need to, yes, we need back on track here. I got beef for Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats. If you want some good New Year's meat, if you're looking for a nice little meal, I know it's kind of a weird week, New Year's Day on a Wednesday, hump days, so you got kind of 2 days till the weekend. If you're looking for a nice little steak supper maybe on a Friday or a Saturday, hit up Corey the Butcher, Acme Meats. He's in the Ritchie block, 9570 76th Avenue. Great little place down there. Stop, get a coffee, and check him out. Tell me ST sent you. Corey, great guy, community guy, serving Edmonton for over 100 years. Acme Meats. Eat fresh, eat local, eat Acme. If you got beef, 780-218-9999. New Year's beef, anything like that, get it off your chest, get it off your mind. We'd love to share it with people. I know you do. Trev's probably got a beef here, but Dave, you did mention that you have a beef, and it goes to the NFL, I think, this morning, correct?
I have a beef with Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles. They are going to sit Saquon Barkley, so he will not eclipse Eric Dickerson's NFL single-season rushing record, which has stood for 40 years.
Eagles at home to the Giants this Sunday, which would be hella delicious.
So they are going to sit him. Saquon Barkley is falling on the sword. He said that he understands the decision. Barkley's father is upset and does not.
It's always the parent, I think, too. They don't care not about your playoff positioning.
And here's an opportunity, and the Philadelphia, look, they're making the right football decision. I understand that on a level. But when you have a chance for a player to go and get or potentially eclipse a record, yes, Barkley's had 17 games. Dickerson did it in one less. That record set back in 1984, the Los Angeles Rams, 2,105 yards. And Dickerson, who was a brilliant player, he is famously very proud of this record, right? He is not unlike Mercury Morris. Mm-hmm. And the late Mercury Morris, who would always, when there was a team going on a perfect run,
all those Dolphins phone each other now.
Not on my watch.
They all clink a glass. I think when the first loss.
We still got it, boys.
Got it.
But So my beef is with Nick Sirianni. Okay, coach, you're making the right football decision. Rest your horses. Make sure nobody gets
because something happens. He makes the wrong one, right? And that's
correct.
I mean, to kind of counter.
I understand, but
give us the meat.
We don't get to see many records fall anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because the way the game is played, the running back position being what it is, although there has been a resurgence in the back, thanks in large part to what Barkley has done this year. But anyhow, it's a beef. It's not the hottest of beefs, but it's a beef.
It's a beef, and it's a good one, and I think a selfish beef from a fan point of view, and much like his father as well. I mean, you just want to see, I care not about the Eagles' positioning, and you want to see records broken, you want to see records fall. I do have a beef with everybody wanting to see Ovechkin break Gretzky's record, though, albeit on the opposite side of that. I don't,
so
especially in this market.
Defensive of Gretzky.
Well, and it's not like I just don't get I don't need to be alive, and I don't need to witness somebody breaking a record. Like, I don't cheer. Like, I know what you're saying here. Like, you're not a Saquon Barkley fan. You like the story.
Who would not? I love the story.
Yeah. I don't hate him either, but it's not like you've been following him all. Like, you're not a booster or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm not really there's certain players that come and go that I don't mind to follow and I guess keep an eye on. But I just find it funny in this market too when people are actively like wanting to see, and I know Trev wants to see the record broken. So present company excluded, but I am kind of including you here.
Is of his
age, and I get that.
Yes,
but I just if it was a guy from a team that I do cheer for, I don't want that to fall. And I guess if I'm a Rams fan, right? Like you don't want to see. You're celebrating. You're like Mercury Morris clinking the glass.
Yes.
You're saying, great, okay, they are sitting him. Boom, record's still intact and everything, and we can celebrate another year of Dickerson. It's funny. Records are made to be broken. I get it, the old saying and everything like that. And I just don't think I need, in my lifetime, if I don't see one get broken, I'm not going to, I just don't care. I like seeing the greats hold on to them.
I missed
the longer they can hold on is...
Has Gretzky talked much, if at all, of late about what Ovechkin is
doing those commercials for the was it the great one or whatever it is? He's in that waiting room.
It's a vaccine of some description.
Something like that. Yeah, he's not wearing shoes in the waiting room. I think like he likes to do on the golf course.
But has he talked at all about what might be coming?
Is he aware?
No, I'm sure he's very much aware.
Could you imagine?
The last thing I heard, it was maybe about a month ago, and it was right before Ovechkin got injured there. But he had said, someone asked him, like, what's going through his mind? And the last he touched on it, from my knowledge, was he's human. He's going to be really nervous. He may say he's not nervous, but he's human. He's going to be really nervous, and he's going to be, gripping the stick extra as he gets close to the milestone that he ultimately, like, he's a big believer that he's going to break it. I think he's going to break it for sure. But and then he's going to be. He always talks about Gordie Howe was there. When I broke his record, I'm going to be the first one that shakes his hand when he breaks the record. So that's the last he said about it.
Give him a jacket or something.
Yeah, here you go.
That
That's where I
Gordie
wanna
Howe
see it.
gave him, or I don't know. You pass it on. Do you have a beef, Trev? I know you. Anything else? Life in general, or something from the Peach Bowl that maybe plucked at you there?
Yeah, I know. Like the last 10, 15 minutes, I've been thinking about some beef.
Well, I'll say this: you did have a beef with the pub crawl, the modern day pub crawl that you had to experience and go through on New Year's Eve.
You weren't there for that. Yeah, I didn't like the pub crawl. I thought it was overhyped. LT said, don't just
give it some time.
Give it some time. Maybe try it again. Like, I know there's a Halloween one that they were already discussing, and I was like, I don't know about that. So I guess I just got beef with that. So, we could do the exact same thing, and it would be significantly cheaper if we just all chipped in on an Uber. And I just thought it was silly, and people just yelling. And I was I was the Grinch of the New Year. Like, people were dancing. Some random was sitting right by me, and that, I didn't like that. And he was bumping into me, and he's like, "This is a great time. Hey, best
Did you go alone?
No, I was with my friends, but we all kind of got lost when we were going on the buses. And so I'm pretty sure I was the only one in my friend group that went on my bus.
Oh.
And then
you had multiple buses?
Also, 2 buses. And that's another thing I guess I got beef with, because I was like, I was sending them videos. I was like, that was the worst thing ever. And they were like, what happened? And I showed them, and I was like, our bus was very tame. Like, you could have a conversation. So I was just in the wrong bus, I guess. But I got beef with just it was kind of annoyed. I was annoyed. I was getting annoyed at everyone. So I feel bad.
I don't understand young people. Would you not want chaos and bedlam on a New Year's Eve bus?
Well, he's old. As he's saying, he's 26. He's past all this. He's tired.
I've been there. I've done that. When I was their age, I would have been the loudest one on the bus. Okay, but I'm not anymore. I'm an old soul, and you could tell.
And you've just moments ago regaled us with the story of you going to bed at 5 a.m. and missing the start of a show here on EST.
Well, all in
the same.
That was the beginning of the year. Okay,
he's learned since
I have
then.
changed a lot. There's a lot of
10
growth.
months in between there.
There's a lot of growth,
of course,
in the previous year. So that was me. Yes, at the beginning of the year, but I've changed a lot, and I think that's.
But just
getting mature.
Advice from an older. I mean, again, we can kind of go up the poll here. Live it. Don't.
Yeah, I gotta live in the moment.
Still keep going and go in on as many. We've talked off air.
Yes, we have
about certain things.
Yes.
It could just be the people putting on the pub crawl that was poorly organized. 2 buses though, that's the money you could have saved. I don't know what that came from, but yeah, don't be afraid. Just hop into those pub crawls and live them. Let the juices run down your.
And the other things, yes, I will. You know what? I'm gonna go real hard at the next pub crawl.
That's the resolution for 2025.
Go hard.
Go hard. Harder. Yeah. Miss the whole show after Super Bowl.
Okay.
Don't come in halfway through.
Do you have an HR department at EST?
HR Daddy, Dustin's dad, we call him.
Oh,
congratulations, HR Daddy, on graduating Athabasca University. I do believe he got his a doctorate in something. He was dressed up in a gown, cap and gown. Yeah, they did a big thing. Got a diploma. Yeah. So he's the guy that. Oh,
so he did an online through I
don't know what he majored and minored in, but he came by here and we did we have a book. We have a code of conduct, multi-page book. I'll show you it after.
It was very professional.
Very professional. Yeah. He did a presentation, everything. We have muster points, and Maddie has to get a sledgehammer, knock out a window if something happens. It's all,
muster points.
Yeah. Scuba Steve says the dick still stands, in reference to Eric Dickerson. If the $20 to A&W for text of the day, 780-218-9999. If you want to press a button for that one. Hey, just give us a button.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought? At no point in your...
We're painting a picture here. Yeah, $20 to A&W, Scuba Steve. Maybe in that pace car right now as it stands. 780-218-9999, the Paris Jubu's inbox. That was I Got Beef for Corey the Butcher and Acme Meats. Eat fresh, eat local, eat Acme today. We'll get into that hurts right now as well for James H. Brown Injury Lawyers. You can check them out today as well. The heavy hitters of injury law, jameshbrown.com. That hurts for Arizona State yesterday. I'm going to go to that. And look, they were behind in the game, the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. It was one of the quarterfinals in the college football playoff, and we will get back to hockey momentarily here, but I just want to touch on this. And we're talking about young coaching as well. Kenny Dillingham, 34 years old.
Yes.
Coaching a team in the college football quarterfinals. Coach the Arizona State Sun Devils, where Herm Edwards used to coach. Will be on the show tomorrow, hopefully, detailing the final week of the NFL season. But that hurts for the Arizona State Sun Devils. You mentioned earlier in the show, Dave, or actually prior to the show starting today, that they will be protesting, or, I mean, what do you do now that the game's over? You can't really overturn anything
what are
or
they
change
hoping to do
an
by
apology
protest?
letter. Like, I mean, it's past the point now, but targeting late, and it should have been targeting against Texas, which would have, given Arizona State, it was 3rd and 15. It was a hell of a hit. Sun Devil player was down. It's a weird call. It's a he said, she said type of, it's opinionated call. What's the definition? I don't know. What's targeting? I mean, you can show me various videos, and I could say that's targeting, that's not. I could be completely wrong on all of my, guesses. So targeting that wasn't. Late in the game, Arizona State had the momentum. They were driving. That could have extended things and ultimately led to a come-from-behind win, in which I think the world at that point was pulling for them. No offense, Dustin, with a Y. I know your hook 'em horns and your Texas fandom is...
No. But at that point, a lot of people...
It was the
with
comeback.
No stake in the game were leaning in hard for the Devils.
For 34-year-old Kenny
Yes.
Dillingham and Sparky and the Devils, I mean... And so that hurts. It's got to hurt. And it hurts for Jake Plummer, who is on the sideline, losing his absolute mind. Love to see it. But yeah, it hurts that the targeting wasn't called. It hurts that Texas, doinked on the post to miss a field goal. It was all lining up for the Sun Devils to complete this stellar comeback. As my brother said, too, if you're going to lose, just lose. Lose like Oregon did, so it's never in doubt. Don't pull us along. I had to miss the coin toss of the Rose Bowl game with the flying jets and the pomp and the pageantry of all that to watch overtime, which ultimately led to nothing.
Double OT, my friend.
Double OT, exactly.
Double OT.
Which again, college rules, kind of like CFL as well.
Yes.
A lot more exciting than the NFL.
Caught that,
and the NFL will eventually adopt that and will say, "Wow, they are such geniuses in the National Football League." But it hurts for the Sun Devils to lose like that. The targeting. And to get so close, but yet remain so far.
Cam Scatterbo
and his dad, Len, in the crowd,
Yes.
who looked albeit younger than his son. that was on the
is
field.
weird. Hey, the
puking
son
and playing.
looks like the guy who might, have worked like 10 years on the dock.
Oh, he's got a lot of stress. Yeah, there's a lot of hard yardage and a lot of hard miles on that odometer from Mr. Scattaboo. If anything hurts you as well, feel free to share 780-218-9999. Trev, does anything hurt you regarding the sports world or life in general this morning?
Okay, you know what? Or we're talking about the pub crawl. Yeah, you know what?
He's still the pub.
You know what hurts? I wore a nice outfit, and the same person at my table to finish the night off at the cabin. Shout out the cabin. It was pretty cool in there.
The cabin, yeah. Did you get a cabin crusher? That's their...
I think so.
Oh, was that there?
Yeah, I think so. The manager actually brought our table a few shots, which was very nice. But not once did this one person stumble and knock over their full drink on my pants. Twice. That hurt. I was
a double shot.
Yes.
Were you wearing
it was
chinos?
a drink. It was a drink. It wasn't even a shot.
What kind of pants? Did you have like dark?
Yeah, I was wearing my jeans.
Okay.
And so, yeah, that hurts my clothes, and I just wanted to quickly finish off. That's enough from the pub crawl. I'm sorry, but yes, that hurts my sweater, and it was cold. It was cold. It was like minus what out there?
It's winter.
I was not happy, so that hurts my. I was just mad, and then obviously my clothes, it was very cold.
None of Trev's experience or his life, we haven't even got to his desire to be shocked or tased.
I heard about this. You like it rough.
Makes me want to go back in time. I've sometimes when you hear young people recounting the tales of, the night before, you think, God, what I wouldn't give to go back
The ripe
there.
age of 25.
I'm good.
Don't go hard at any pub crawl, Mary says. Relax. 2025 is the year of the optional skate. You'll like that when you love throwing out the old optional skate every once in a while. Box Pounder's got a poem for a thief. Ryan from SK says, should have been targeting defenseless player. McConaughey must have had the replay judged by the throat. Bert Auburn. Oof. Hell of a game, though. Yeah, Texas kicker Bert Auburn. And he looks like Carrot Top. You saw that? Yeah.
Okay, I have a question around that.
Hasn't missed a field goal under 40 all year. Kicks from the 38. Doink.
How many young people are called Bert? I thought the Bert factory was closed down for names. How many?
And B-E-R-T, not the B-U-R-T. So
right.
So it could be short for like an Albert, I guess. But I hope it's just Bert. Yes, Bert Auburn, the kicker for Texas, who did doink one. Had a pretty good season.
Bert Jones, former Indianapolis Colts. Actually, it was the Baltimore Colts.
Yes.
Quarterback from many years ago.
How many other famous Berts are there in there? Either the B-E or the B-U
Burt
variety.
Reynolds.
Yeah,
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah, movie type of.
Yes, an actor.
No, but I'm saying like the sports
in the
realm.
Sports realm.
I just like off
NHL,
the top of my head.
Bert Olmsted, that's for you,
Sure.
Bruce McCurdy and Low Tide. No, it's Bart Crashley. No.
It's close enough.
Yeah.
Bart, whatever.
Yes.
I mean, you're kind of. But yeah, bring back Bert. I'm all for. I like Herb because you can go Herb, Herbie, and Herbert. You have 3 lives that you can live throughout one name.
Yeah,
if you
names
want
that you can break apart, you can
a child
or
teen
contract.
years, your middle years, and then your latter years. But that loaded text from Ryan there, Matthew McConaughey must have had probably had something to do with that as well, as he commands a lot of sway there at those college games. That hurts Blue Jays off season. Somebody says. Just in general, I mean, they are in the cuck chair, are they not? Like they occupy that. You go to a hotel, any hotel. Could be the Central Casino Sports Bar and Lounge. You walk into the room. No,
I was not. Hold, stop. Just pause.
Ain't wrong.
I was not expecting. You could tell we're working in the digital realm here when you drop that on me. I was not expecting that.
Like Atkins is there, sitting in the chair, cross-legged. Hello,
with the ball gag in.
Whatever costumery you want. The full gimp. He's full gimp. Bring out the gimp. Bring out the Ross. No, I understand. I mean, they are in on everything, but yet not in on anything.
And he's made to wear a Yankees jersey in the chair.
That's the kink.
And he just sits,
That's the kink. Yahoo Sports had an interesting montage yesterday. I know we're kind of going off, but that hurts for James H. Brown injury lawyers. They had all of their... how shall we say, social media banners that never were.
Oh, yes.
So like they had Soto and a Jays, like welcome to Toronto, that type of. But all of these championship, it's like they send the caps to like third world nations. Like the Oilers did win the cup somewhere. There's a kid out there that's wearing an Oilers Stanley Cup champion hat from last year. But I did find that kind of funny. But yeah, the Jays. That does. We could do that hurts for the Blue Jays every single segment of that hurts, really. I mean, it's the gift for me. Not being a fan, it's the gift that keeps on giving. In that sense, I find it hilariously entertaining.
Painful to share a desk, with Dusty, who lives and dies.
It's a Blue Jay house that he lives in, and he is.
Goes
after
by
the first 10 games of the season, where he doesn't care at all about them. But it's I think, Trev, you have a Blue Jays jersey, do you not? Like you're not a dyed-in-the-wool fan or anything like that, but
you're a believer.
Yeah, I'm a believer. Like when they were good, I was on the train for sure. But lately, there's nothing to cheer about, so I've kind of thrown the jersey into the back of the closet.
We can do that out in Western Canada.
Yes,
you can put it on and take it off at ease. You don't have to be Trident's up, right, Dave?
Always.
Go M's.
Go M's.
Name the segment that Blue Jays Yeah, that is a good text too, Deaky Sparks. I don't mind that one. Yeah, instead of that hurts that Blue Jays. Dave Jameson saying ball gag 2025 is starting off right. Colin the Amishman chimes in. Yep. Scuba Steve says our Canadian male athlete of the year, shot putter Bert Cummings, and a damn good singer.
Right.
So there's that.
You and I like Burton Cummings. And I have a Burton Cummings story, which I could tell later. And I have recounted this on 1260.
Lives
back
next
in the
door
day.
to my cousin in Moose Jaw currently.
Really?
Yeah, he keeps a nice yard apparently.
Oh, does he?
Bert Blyleven.
Yes,
yeah?
Bert Blyleven.
That
Good.
comes in from Stan the Jets fan.
Yeah.
Good pull there. We'll take it. We'll take all the Berts you can give us this morning. No, but I think the Blue Jays one maybe takes the cake there for that. Hurts. You're right. Who are they? Was it Santander? Them, and it's always the Blue Jays and another stateside, more competitive team are in for a player, to which you will think, well, that player will ultimately go to that richer, more competitive stateside club.
American team.
Yeah. So that's kind of where we are at the state of the Blue Jays.
Now, if the A's and Jays are in a dead heat for a player, where are you going?
That's an interesting question.
That's where I think Toronto might win.
Well, you still get paid in the American money, don't you know?
Yes,
Up here you get paid in the funny money.
Yes.
Are you following them to Sacramento?
Not a chance. I'm out.
So are you a free agent? Or have you?
I am casting about for a team now.
I
could go because I bought a hat off Jack Cookson last year
in Oakland.
Swinging A's.
Okay.
Hat. But I am casting about. I'm thinking Mariners if I want to stay in the American, which I mean they used to be my team when I lived out there,
and they're just as terrible. So you can
they're profoundly disappointing. Or I could maybe be enticed to go Padres.
Okay.
Over in the National.
Yeah. Little Tony Gwynn.
Yes. Santiago. Who was the catcher? Santiago? Who was their catcher? Why am I drawing a blank right now? Padres have had some great players.
Nice new park. Yeah, I mean, they had a nice new park down there.
Oh, yeah,
I think Dusty's been to that one. Yeah,
it's beautiful.
Dead center in the city. So,
yeah.
Well, if you have any other suggestions for Dave Jameson and which team he should latch his fandom onto, baseball-wise, 780-218-9999. It is 8:02. We will get to kind of easy trivia coming up. If you want to play this morning, you were cobbling together some...
but I've only done 2 questions.
Wow! We got some time. If you want to play trivia this morning for Mr. Mike's, text in. Say, I want to play Trev, and he will pick one of you, and we'll bring you on next to kick off hour number 3. Kind of easy trivia. 3 questions on the way as well. If you have any questions, namely for Dave this morning, but for any of us as well that you want answered, 780-218-9999 or in the nasty chat. Fire it up. We'll be on the way. 8:30 for Gemco Fireplaces, the Marmot Basin Ski Report, and the wrap for William Huff. All to come here on hour number 3. The first show kicking off 2025 on the Nielson Show. Lieutenant Eric Dave Jameson, YouTube Trev, here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Changing 100.
Only one game in the NHL last night, which saw the Kings blink the Devils 3-0 tonight. And in the NHL, 12 games, which sees the Maple Leafs take on the Islanders, the Senators take on the Stars, the Jets host the Ducks, the Utah Hockey Club visit the Flames, and the Kraken will play the Canucks. Yesterday in the WHL, 5 games, including the Oil Kings losing to the Hitmen 4-1. The Oil Kings will be back in action on Friday at Rogers Place to take on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. In the World Juniors, the quarterfinals starts today, which has 5 games, including Team Canada going up against Czechia. Puck drop for this one goes at 5:30. Other games include Kazakhstan taking on Germany, Latvia going up against the Swedes, Switzerland taking on the Americans, and Slovakia is set to play Finland. And to finish things off in the association, the Raptors start the year on a high note as they get their first win in 11 games. The Raptors defeat the Nets 130-113 and will be back in action tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. Game starts at 5:30. Take your career to the next level with Clayburn Services. They are hiring all positions, including journeyman bricklayers and apprentices of all levels. Take advantage of their outstanding mentorship program and work with peace of mind knowing they are an industry leader in safety. Visit www.clayburnservices.com or make it easy and give Jeff a call at 780-910-6728.
I got a big shot off this stick of mine. I keep those lanes wide open all the time. Drysidle setting up shop, McDavid's flying. I'll hit the twine when I walk the line. As sure as New G is slick and Kane is tough. We're going all the way this year, enough is enough. And we can play 'em straight or we can play 'em rough. I'm feeling fine when I walk the line. You know I shoot that puck so very, very hard. The name on the back of my jersey says Bouchard. And we're gunning for first place, not a wild card. I'll hit the twine when I walk the line. Well, we're counting on our skill and not on luck. And it's gonna get real when they drop that puck. And we won't be done until we hoist the cup. I'll hit the twine when I walk the line. I got a big shot.
8:08 on the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps and on YouTube. Minus 20 right now outside in Edmonton. Going to be cold over the next couple of days. High of around minus 22 for this afternoon, but warming up as we kick off next week. It is Lieutenant Eric Dave Jameson in for Dustin Nielsen. He'll also be back from his Christmas, New Year's vacation starting next week on Monday. And YouTube Trev locking it down as well behind the monitors. You can text 780-218-9999. That is the Paris Jewelers inbox. $20 to A&W on the line. We already have some front runners when it comes to text of the day, so get in. Final hour to do so. And of course, if you are on the Nasty Chat, which is humming along, Fish Tank says, be a Brewers fan, JMO. Oh. The glove logo is the best in the game, competing with the Whalers. With
Robin Yount?
Yeah, sure. Rip City Step, resident Padres fan as well. Duck Dad says simply just Riverhawks. Maybe you just...
And I'm a Hawks fan.
Yep.
You know what? I've got to go down. I won. They drew my name, and I've won a bobblehead that I've got to go down and pick up from the Riverhawks. Seriously.
Sounds like you're fired up.
I am fired up.
We'll be getting to that around 8:30 from Jimco Fireplaces. I also have a fired up local baseball angle to discuss during that segment, so we'll get to both of those.
Okay.
But if you have an MLB team for JMO to latch his fandom onto, feel free to share it. 780-218-9999 on the Nasty Chat.
And if I may, I want to get in early. Maybe it's Kansas City Royals.
Not the Jays, though. Yeah,
no,
Royals,
Jays are too. That's too easy. It's too. And don't come at me with Expos. Yes, I too miss them. I want something a little. I'm a diehard Oakland A's fan. I'm not going to move to Sacramento. I'm out.
They don't want you. You don't want them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We're going to do some kind of easy trivia as well for Mr. Mike's coming up. 3 questions too many is on the way. So if you have any questions, I usually like to use it for the the guest host here on the show, which we don't like to or we don't see or hear from too much. So if you have any questions for JMO, I know somebody's got an Elks point of view, so we'll get to that as well. And fired up, and we just got fresh off the presses the Marmot Basin Ski Report, courtesy Brian out there in Jasper. So we'll get to that as well. All ahead of the wrap for William Huff, coming up at the end of the final and third hour. But YouTube, Trev, do we got somebody for trivia this morning?
Yes, we do. For the first one of the year, we're giving it to Chris.
Chris with a CH?
Correct.
Chris with a CH. Welcome back to the show. I assume you've played kind of easy trivia before.
Yes, I have a few times.
Love it. What's your winning percentage? Do you have a record offhand?
I'm batting 1,000, but now I'm a little worried today.
Well, Well, that's okay.
Don't be. That's the confidence you need to go into these things.
Yeah, perfect record. You're only kicking off the new year. It's the first one. We want to get off on the right foot. So, given your percentage, I think it should be a no sweater. You are playing for a GC, Chris, to Mr. Mike's. Eat locally, enjoy casually. Mr. Mike's, where I do believe the Fiesta Fusion is still ongoing. Mexican and Spanish-inspired features, drinks, and all of that good stuff. But Mr. Mike's, great place for a burger or a steak or something else off the wide, extensive menu. Chris, you know how we do then. We will start the ticker after Dave reads the first question. You need 3 out of 5. Are you ready to go?
I'll do my best. Let's go.
All right. Who did the Oilers beat on New Year's Eve?
Wow.
You can pass, Chris.
I don't know what this. Pass.
Who did the Oilers play Friday night?
It's Friday night.
It's tomorrow.
It's tomorrow. Sure,
you can pass.
Pass.
Okay, where is the Sugar Bowl played?
Pass.
Oh no. Chris, I'm so sorry.
He dropped it right away.
I am so very sorry.
We have to just let that you have
just
nothing,
let it hang in the air.
You have nothing to apologize for. You let him. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And we are called Edmonton Sports Talk. Says so on the hat. One of these new hats, the new ones, courtesy of the Hive product marketing. Feel the buzz. But Edmonton Sports Talk. We like to kind of talk about sports in general. Lots of sports.
But also some life.
I'm going to college football. I know nobody really cares about all that stuff. NBA, all that. But we do focus more so heavily on the Oilers, the hockey team, the NHL.
As you would.
The pro hockey team. That's the team of the town, talk of the town. We didn't ask where Chris was from. Maybe that's on us too, but...
My dismount, the 5th question was going to be...
go through.
Okay, well, let's do it again. Who did the Oilers beat on New Year's Eve?
Utah.
The Utah Outlaws. Who did they play Friday night?
The Ducks.
The Ducks.
Tomorrow, the Ducks.
Where is the Sugar Bowl played?
Now you might... Okay, now I can understand. Maybe he's not a...
Okay.
So, but now you've got 2. You got 2 in the bag. You need 2 more.
Then I was going to go, who does Canada play at the World Juniors?
The hockey question. Canada question.
Canada.
Everybody knows
so
this.
I'm thinking that we are right in the wheelhouse for Chris. And the last one was going to be, what year is it? Because it's early and, maybe you're...
I wrote 2024 down. I made the mistake. I made the error. We're all doing it for the first week. But so that could have... But you had 3 hockey...
When has someone bowed out like that?
He just dropped the phone, too. He didn't even say goodbye to Trev off the air. It was kind of more of an embarrassed dismount. He was speechless. He was frozen. It was one of those things where I think, again, the pressure of being the first contestant of 2025 clearly got to him. And then the bright lights just kind of blinded. It's like a Cowboys home game in the afternoon, right? From I can't catch the ball. The sun's in my eyes.
Mike McCarthy looking bedazzled on the sidelines. That is, Tube, when was the last time you had someone whiff?
Total whiff.
It's been a year. I'm just joking. But that was tough. We've had some bad stretches at EST, and we've had a controversy. Dusty has a ticker. Mine is bigger. So we use my ticker because it's longer.
Oh, time-wise.
More time.
Our balls are bigger.
Yes.
Right?
Correct. So,
Michael Lisko, you rascal.
We had a stretch where we were using Dusty's smaller ticker. Mm-hmm. So then eventually we're like, no, we got to use my ticker because it's bigger. So that gives them, an extra 6-8 seconds?
Which is big in this game.
Which is huge.
That's a
huge.
world of difference.
Yeah. And so since we've made that adjustment with the longer ticker, we haven't had anything like that. We have not. So I'm lost for words.
He didn't even go 0 for 5. He didn't even get through.
No.
Usually people will go through the process and then have a chance. I mean, he didn't even, we said you can pass, and then he just kind of, first loss, he had an unblemished record. A Bert Blyleven unblemished Bert Blyleven. But he, I don't know what to say. It was kind of, he didn't even get to the latter part of the order. We had Roseanne. That's how we kicked off 2025. I know people have even thrown trivia before in the past. Like they've gone on. They want to hear the Roseanne. They want to punk you or troll you.
Yeah.
I don't think, given his tone, this was the case. He was pretty proud of his record. He did say that he was
that's where it's tough. Like he's hurting.
Yeah, and he didn't even slam the phone down.
I think he's won recently, correct?
Yeah.
You know, so he's starting to think, okay, I'm going to get this one. So if I'm doing the math in my head, I might be sitting at around $100 in GCs.
Well, that's
and he's kind of in his own mind planning a special night out.
We have one thing I brought up to Maddie for the Estes this coming up year.
Yes.
We have a spreadsheet. We were writing down all these ideas, but we didn't last year have fail of the year. So
now gives somebody something to aspire to. So maybe he's
this
going
is
for
a front runner.
How far in advance do you start planning the Estes?
Well, now we have the spreadsheet is live, so it's
it's one of those documents you can all.
It's not the calendar year, but it's the SD year from like the September onwards.
Oh,
so
I see. Okay,
your kind of thing there, but that's a dicey category because now people will come on and want to bomb it. That's kind of.
Yeah,
it's tough.
It's got to be authentic, and I know that's hard. That's hard.
Yeah.
You know, who's the arbiter of that?
Because I think Wheels, again, as he chimes in, I was the last one to blow it until today, so he's off the hook now in a sense. Like because he's very confident in himself, and he came on before Christmas, and Trevor remembers this, and I'm sure
Dusty didn't do him any favors. He gave him the toughest questions ever.
But even he said, and Wheels laughed it off like, he's a quarterback, which he clearly was a receiver or something, and everybody, and then he didn't do well. Some days there are easier questions than not, and I get that, and we will move along here. But Chris, I think it was authentic, and it sucked, man. Like that hurts.
I put that up right after.
Ooh, you suck.
There it is.
Perfect.
VJMO. He said, and it's funny, his text, ready for trivia. And then as soon as he lost, not ready for trivia.
Did he chime back in there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, he's owning it. Starting 2025 off with a bang. Kind of easy trivia. The Mr. Mike's GC goes back in the tank, and we'll get somebody on tomorrow for Friday and look to redeem ourselves. 3 questions too many right now. Brought to you by the great staff at Park Mazda and dealer principal Mitch Lewicki, where he'd like to announce the firing of Chris this morning. Park Mazda, your dealer for life. It's all winners down at Park Mazda, no losers. That's what Mitch says. He says that to you when he hires you, and you're expected to continue on that tradition as you're employed there.
They're the Miami Dolphins of car sales. Fair?
Absolutely.
Not the current Miami Dolphins, but
Mitch has a portrait of Mercury Morris in his office. That
72.
He just puts his feet up on the desk and glances at it and all that. So
they just don't lose.
Check out Mitch today and the fine folks out in the park, Sherwood Park, Park Mazda, your dealer for life, or online, parkmazda.ca. This is a time where we like to share our social media accounts, Dave.
Sure we do.
When I was doing this exercise with Will, he doesn't do any social media anymore. He's on Blue Sky. That's his only...
is he?
Sure. Why is that a surprise to you, right? Like knowing Will.
He's an early adopter. Well, what do I find on Blue Sky? Well, I'm at the Dave Jameson on X.
On X, yeah, you are on there.
X. And
Instagram.
I really don't, well,
you were on there. You went to a tennis. I remember
that. Yeah, and I post pictures of flowers. And
I'm still following you. I'm still following you.
But yeah, so you can find me on the Insta if you so choose, and on Twitter occasionally. But I didn't know Will's on Blue Sky.
Oh, yeah. He is on there a long time. He's one of those guys that create an account and just let it sit just to kind of have the first right of refusal for his name.
I think we call that squatting, don't we?
Yeah. He's squatting a free man on the land, so to speak.
Yes.
But he has issued a few blueies since, I do think.
Is that what they're called?
Trev, do you have them there? Can you read for Dave? I remember because you did get on Blue Sky, did you not? I think because Will was haranguing him about doing it.
I am on Blue Sky. Yes, this is correct.
Yeah, so while you pull up Will's bluey...
I should get one of those accounts. Sir, I'm looking at the Joaquin Gage card. The cover, the front shot is very nice. I mean, he's in the butterfly or soon to be butterfly, and then on the back, have you seen the close up? Look at those eyes. Look at those eyes of Gage.
Very sullen and sunken. Yeah, he's got a I've been through it. Those eyes are telling me he's seen a lot.
Like, oh God, Ally Afraidy from the point.
Highlights helped lead Portland to first place in the WHL's West Division in 92-93.
Dem Hawks.
Tied for second in league with 2 shutouts.
Gage and I come from the same high school in Vancouver. Different years, obviously, but
Kits, hey? Kits.
McGee.
Kits,
yeah, he's a Kits
Solano.
kid. Yeah.
It looks good in front of the Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen Studio. Too.
Sure
Gives
does.
a nice color scheme there. Popeyes, check them out today. Studio sponsor.
Blue Sky.
How are we doing on that?
Will
Bluey?
Fraser. Will
Yeah,
Fraser.
he's got 3 posts. His last one a month ago.
Yes.
If you were reading this, you have too much time on your hands. Make a better choice. Talk to someone face to face. Parasocial relationships are not real relationships. That is Will. That's what you're going to get.
That's the Willie you remember. Hey,
at
love?
Will Fraser.
Turn your lights on.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
the
what
same
Will
one.
would leave us with.
The same one. Trev, where can people
not
follow
wrong.
you on Blue Sky, Instagram, X, and all the others as well?
Yeah, I'm also on Blue Sky. YouTube Trev. Just give it a follow. At YouTube Trev. On Twitter, X, YouTube _Trev. And then back to Instagram, YouTube Trev. There it is. Yeah, I like it. Give me a follow. Thank you.
Colin the Amishman says they're called Skeets on Blue Sky. Is that correct?
Skeets? Okay, not Blueies.
What does that mean?
Sky tweets.
Oh,
kind of a.
Okay.
I don't.
That's a skeet.
Is that what it is? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Question number 1, and this goes back to a listener here as well, and I'm just going to try to find it here. Atif has sent in about 19. We'll get to one of his as well. But where is that? Somebody wanted, Dave, your thoughts on the Edmonton Elks, and we kind of went over this at around just after Luke Gazdic this morning in the second hour. But just a question for you and the vibe and the mood around the Elks, basically from what you've seen, because again, we've been glancing through the window, peeking in. You've been in the house.
Yes. For 5.5 months as the interim director of tickets and service for the team, and then prior to that, working on the 75th season celebrations and the dinner and all those good things. It is an organization that is digging out from a number of years of bad personnel decisions, both on and off the field, and is righting the ship and finding a way back out of the wilderness. I mean, it's a bit jarring to have been there in some really, really good days and now to see what the club is trying to work its way out of. Now under private ownership, really committed local ownership, really passionate owners in Larry and Deb Thompson, and what they're trying to do, hoping to do, and putting, I believe, the right people. They got to get the football right. That is job one. Are there marketing, I would say, challenges, but it's hard to market a team that has been as bad as they have.
Yep.
You can throw all sorts of money at it until you can deliver. When you only play
History
10 home
be
games,
damned. Like at that
set
point.
aside,
Yeah.
and it's a proud history.
Yeah.
Just put that away. Use that, call that up, conjure it up as we did last year for 75 seasons. That's worthy of bringing in Warren Moon and all the names and all the stars of yesteryear. But you got to live in the here and now. And the here and now, certainly the recent here and now, has not been good. But under Chris Morris and with Ed Hervey and with Mark Killam, who's a rookie head coach, but from what I've seen, and I know announcements are going to be coming here fairly shortly on the staff, they got to get the football right. And I think they're in a much better place today than they were, and this is not a disservice to G. Roy Simon. He was put in a really tough position. The work that Chris Jones did here in his second time was not nearly what Chris Jones did with Ed Hervey as the GM the first time through.
Yeah.
And there's been a lot of sort of carnage in the wake, not of just on the football side, but, with previous presidents. I mean, Rick Lawlisher came in to steady, to broker the sale, but also to lead the club operationally out of the wilderness.
Yeah.
And I think he did that. I know he did that.
It's lots of things. I mean, the Victor Cui era and giving Chris Jones all the keys to the shed, the garage, the house, and everything. And there are a lot of things that kind of overlapped each other that I don't think one thing you kind of focus on to say that's what caused it, and this is what's going to fix it.
Well, it's a convergence.
It's all a perfect storm of a lot of things happening at once.
Perfect storm is exactly it. It was a build, a slow build, and then it just overwhelmed the organization from the name change, pandemic, bad choices in terms of bad, I would say, incompetent boards, making bad hires.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
But moving forward, again, it's
I think it's in a much better place, but it's going to take time. I think you can get the football fixed fairly quickly. That'll come through better drafting, better talent identification, scouting down south, and smart moves. Edmonton won a lot of free agencies, Eric, by spending money. And I think they overspent in receivers. You know, the Lawlers and the Gino,
yeah, that's a big price tag.
And I think with Ed in play, they're going to make smarter football moves.
Yeah, and I think Cody Fajardo coming in as a number 2 is probably pretty astute to back up a guy like Trey Ford. But, I mean, we'll see how that pans out. And again, the CFL tampering window looms off season in the CFL. The only thing is preaching time to fan bases in any sport these days is it's not peel battle all the time. People want it now. They want it yesterday. They want their food microwaved and tasting extremely delicious and giving me all the health benefits that I deserve all in once. And to say time and giving a coach time to build or a regime time to build, it's tough, but I think it also has to be understood.
Well, it does have to be understood, and you're right on all of what you said. They weren't an awful football team last year by any stretch. I mean, there's a team in there. You got to dig around a little bit, and there'll be some people not returning as you would expect. But there is a bunch to work with there, and with a better staff, having Ed Hervey, who is one here, but also brings a depth of experience now to that position that he didn't have in his first time here. So I think he's going to be a better GM. And, he has the trust of Chris Morris.
Question number 2, as we move on, 3 questions too many for Park Mazda. Boys, 2025, what is one New Year's resolution that you are going to subscribe to? Now, again, it doesn't need to be those things.
In the sporting realm or the personal?
Could be either or.
Oh.
Now, again, you're looking for a new baseball club, so maybe your resolution is to find a club, I guess, by the end of the calendar year. But, and I don't mean it to be, I got to go to the gym or I got to. But what is one thing you maybe want to try? I mean, Trev tried a pub crawl there on New Year's Eve. Maybe he gives them another go and he doesn't give up on them. But what's something that you see this year that you're going to either do or experience or something different?
Well, let me take a run at that. And Maddie very graciously asked me about doing Dry January, which I'm doing to raise money for the Canadian Cancer Society.
Now you're starting this off, like, were you just going through it in December and kind of, partying hard? Like,
no, not at my age.
I'm just wondering. But this is just for January, and it's for a cause.
It's for the Canadian Cancer Society. Okay. Second year I've done it, and you can donate to me if you so choose, or donate to those. I think there are about, if I have this number right, about 7,000 people taking part in this across the country. And it's very simply to raise money because I am a cancer patient myself. My brother Rod died in October of it. And if I know anything about the disease, and I've lost another brother to it as well, to do the kind of research necessary and the care for those living with the disease and trying to do the best they can against it takes a tremendous amount of money for the research, the care, and all of the work that goes into it. So in my own small way, I would like to do that and honor my brother's memory. But I'm going to do this to the end of January. But I also wonder if I couldn't do it forever. That would be a challenge. It's a lofty goal to say never again. Would I have a drink? But I wonder, and probably I've reached an age when I should maybe take the foot off the gas, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and do you feel like you've said you've done this before? So after January, you feel like,
yeah,
you can tell,
just yes,
noticeable,
a little sharper, a little less. Not that again. I'm not Trev. I'm not going to bed at 5 and showing up late for his assigned duty.
tardy.
But I wonder if the benefits now of a good drink or two whether I passed that.
Yeah, the lack of taste on your tongue. You gotta go with it, hey,
yes,
and then say
exactly.
And it is kind of the vibe and the theme, I think, with people these days is to kind of go sober. Like that's kind of we're entering a time and place where people are like, I feel free.
Because trust me, in my youth, sobriety was not contemplated.
I know, and that's
we get real honest here. No chance.
Even smoking now, people used to do it in front of their kids like it was nothing. Now you go off and hide. Like I don't smoke, but that's it's funny how those things change based on generations and the Trev, anything that you would like to, whether it's sports, whether it's life, whether it's relationships. I don't know if you want to. You don't need to get it too private here, but I'm just saying that the door's open for you. Would you like to share anything? Maybe winning another Esty, doubling your Esty count from last year.
That'd be cool. Add to the list. I won an Esty.
Oh, you did?
JMO, yep.
You know, I saw images from the night. It looked fantastic.
We all got an Esty.
Yes.
Oh, you all got one.
I got you.
Maybe. Yeah, I won Rookie of the Year. It was very nice.
Nice.
It was very nice. It felt good. But yeah, a few things. Actually, we kind of touched on this a little bit before we started today's program. To travel. I want to travel, boys.
Get that passport out, eh?
Where to first?
Yeah, and seeing, like, that's the thing. I wouldn't mind just seeing... some people might be like, oh, like that's it. But no, like I wouldn't mind just seeing more of Canada because as far as out east, I've gone to Manitoba. That's it. But I'd love to go to Nova Scotia. I'd love to out east, like very, very much out east. I got some family there. Just never found the time. Never
Trev,
made
just
my way
make
down
it
there.
happen.
Yeah,
Stompin' Tom always said, "See your country," right? Like that. Was, he sings about
see
it.
The country.
Yeah, see the country.
Absolutely, and maybe start in Vancouver. Just like a 10-day trip. Just check out all of Canada. I don't know. You probably can't do it in 10 days, maybe need a little bit more time, but I want to travel more. I keep saying that every year, and I haven't. And another thing, I want to get a tattoo. That's one thing. I keep saying it every single year. Nothing crazy, but I'm like, this is the year I get a tattoo. Never did.
Guess, barbed wire on your bicep.
No. Oh,
tramp stamp.
No. Okay, I could entertain that maybe. I'm just joking. No. But I want to get a tattoo.
Go down the hall here. Hey, just knock on the door to our neighbors down the hall.
Yeah, there's a tattoo place right
there's
down there.
There's a tattooist. We share on the floor
yes,
here.
That's right. It's a curious blend in this building.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. You can go on the psychologist couch and get a tattoo. And
yep, absolutely.
Come in here and hang out.
Would you do your favorite team?
No.
See, only
that's
losers
the thing.
do
That's
that.
the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm happy because I remember when I graduated, I was like, oh, I want to get this, I want to get that, and then in hindsight, I'm like, oh goodness gracious, thank God I didn't get that. Like I have some terrible ideas, and I feel like that's why I just.
Well, just share some, Trev. I mean,
you're older now, so now you can come to the maturity point of.
For the longest time, I wanted a green smiley face. Just a big green smiley face on my shoulder.
But why?
Nothing
Did it mean
against
anything?
and I want to say nothing against if anyone has that.
Did it mean anything to you though?
No.
Okay.
No, and like my parents were like, "Yes, this is great." And I'm like, "You said like I can't believe you guys thought that was a good idea. Like I would never. If I had that now, I'd be so embarrassed. No offense if anyone has a green smiley face tattoo. But I wanted it big, and I'm just like looking like, oh my gosh, like brother, that's bad. So that's one thing, and then as well as 10K subs. So I talked about this on the YouTube channel. That's a big milestone goal that I want to hit.
Okay, but I mean, you can get them on your ankle or somewhere where nobody sees it. Like, you don't need to do it
just
on your
do a
forehead.
little something tasteful.
Yeah. Like I've got some new ideas, but I'm not going to share.
I think what you do is you travel somewhere, you go on a trip, you gas up your sports car, you go on a trip, and wherever you go,
sports car,
you get a tattoo there to signify your first major trip or whatever the hell you choose to do. Like
that's cool.
Because then it'll mean something. You'll always remember it. And this is like, oh, this is when I started off my vacationing stint or my venturing.
I'm going on an adventure.
And something will happen there that you'll see an animal or something will pop out at you. And
a beaver, maybe?
Whatever.
Yeah. So yeah,
but you need a story. You need a story. You got one, didn't you? Where nobody can see when you were getting a straight shave down in Burma or whatever it was.
Yes,
right?
I got the straight razor in Rangoon.
Sure.
I have a great tattoo story from my time with the Eskimos. One player who shall remain nameless came in one day, and we'd been on a bye week, whatever, and had his name tattooed on his back, like just up the shoulders, right across his back.
Interesting.
And I was standing with Dwayne Mandrusiak, and this guy, he's doffed the shirt, and everyone's like, whoa, had some work done, eh? And Dwayne slides in, and God, he could drop a line. He goes, hey, you know that I put your name on the back of your jersey. You didn't have to do it on your skin.
Was it in the same font?
Yeah, almost like
jersey
the same
font. I
font.
can see like Old English maybe. You're kind of you want to
looked so close. It was just like
in a brick in a bordered.
Like it's been stitched in like the Flyers name bars. And I went, yes, you got him. Yeah. I put your name is on the back of your jersey. You didn't have to do that.
The back tattoo is always weird because you yourself can never see it. I mean, like, I don't know what you know what I'm saying? Like, at least something you get it somewhere, even if it's hidden, you can kind of like look the odd time and admire, like, that reminds me of so-and-so or this time or whatever. But that's fun. Question number 3, will Jesse Puljujärvi make his way back to the NHL? No, hey, in honor of Dustin Nielson, who's very much still with us, but just on vacation, he'll be back Monday. The news broke. Chris Johnston had it. He'll be by tomorrow. He's our hockey insider and analyst. Jesse Puljujärvi, clearing waivers. I
will
quote
be back or should be
I
back.
said bring him home. And people were kind of questioning my definition of home, whether that's Finland. Or anything else. Look, he's a big guy, puck possession, bottom 6, cheap,
friendly,
fun. We all wish him well. I mean, he's a good guy, but it just seems like the NHL has had enough of him. Do we see him? Both, Dave. Will he, and should he be? I just, is there somebody out there that maybe eventually somehow he finds his way into some sort of trade package or?
Sure, somebody may see a need, but do we not have the book on him by now?
We should.
I think so.
But again, he'll go and light up the AJHL. And then be like, no, like he got a goal. He got a couple goals early in the season.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
And he was riding shotgun there, and people were So there's always a pull. It feels like.
I think that he is not the player he is now is not what the Oilers need. So
no.
Yes, I understand that there might be some who are far more warm-hearted than I am, but no, I think the NHL has rendered its decision on him.
Trev, is he done? Is this the last we see? Is he back to Jokerit sometime soon?
Man, this is tough because I could see one more team taking a chance on him, but then I feel like the outcome's going to be the exact same. So if another team but then he didn't get claimed on waivers. So that's tough. All it takes is one injury. Maybe he gets another shot, but this is the player you're going to get with this guy. There's no more surprises. Oh, he's going to put something.
He's not going to morph into something he isn't.
No. But if you need that, he's there waiting for you.
Yes,
he is the guy.
On the cheap. Yep. Little behind, let's get to a sports update. It's Lieutenant Air Dave Jamieson in for Dustin Nielsen and YouTube Trev. We'll be back with Fired Up for Gemco Fireplaces. We've got a Marmot Basin ski report as well, snow report, and that's all ahead of the wrap for William Huff. This is EdmontonSportsTalk.com, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Only one game in the NHL last night, which saw the Kings blank the Devils 3-0 tonight in the NHL. 12 games, which sees the Maple Leafs take on the Islanders, the Senators take on the Stars, the Jets host the Ducks, the Utah Hockey Club visit the Flames, and the Kraken will play the Canucks. Yesterday in the WHL, 5 games, including the Oil Kings losing to the Hitmen 4-1. The Oil Kings will be back in action on Friday at Rogers Place to take on the Lethbridge Hurricanes. In the World Juniors, the quarterfinals start today, which has 5 games, including Team Canada going up against Czechia. Puck drop for this one goes at 5:30. Other games include Kazakhstan taking on Germany, Latvia going up against the Swedes, Switzerland taking on the Americans, and Slovakia is set to play Finland. And to finish things off in the association, the Raptors start the year on a high note as they get their first win in 11 games. The Raptors defeat the Nets 130-113 and will be back in action tomorrow against the Orlando Magic. Game for this one starts at 5:30. Boxing Week savings are coming to Sit and Sleep. Starting December 14th, all Canadian-made custom sofas, sectionals, and bedrooms will be on sale. Save up to 50% on select floor samples, 20% off home accents, and more. Plus, make no payments until 2026, interest-free. Make any purchase over $999 during the sale and receive free local white glove delivery with full setup and installation. Don't miss the massive Boxing Week's furniture and mattress sales event starting December 14th at Sit and Sleep in South Edmonton Common next to Planet Fitness.
The Nielson Show featuring Lieutenant Eric. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk.
8:41, you are tuned into the Nielson Show, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, streaming on the iHeart and TuneIn radio apps and on YouTube. Hey, if you are watching on YouTube this morning, we forgot to mention, but pound that thumbs up. Let's change 200 by the time the show wraps up here. Certainly doable here in the final stretch. And hit the subscribe button as well. I guess we're off to 12,000 now. That's the next goal to hit. Maybe Dusty will have a sushi platter, one of those sushi boats.
Is that the challenge? Like, what did you do at
Every
10?
time we get to another marker, he eats a different seafood, maybe.
And are we going by 1,000?
Sure.
Subs?
Yeah.
I call it.
I always
Not
get hungry.
like the Ross
Subs.
Atkins subs.
Yeah, you like that.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. You'll never walk into a hotel room the same again.
Exactly.
Ross, is that you? He's got the GIMP mask on and everything. Minus 21. It's going to get cold over the next couple of days, warming up as we start next week, and some snow in the forecast as well for the weekend. Spency 5 cents, he chimes in on the nasty chat. Why the hell did Montreal claim him to play with Laine again? I don't know. That seems like a slam dunk to me. Yeah, that would be. They had that World Juniors.
Yes, they did. How many years ago was that?
I know, but you look at Laine too. He's rediscovering himself in old Montreal. Maybe Yessa could have done. I would have loved to see him there with the media. Hey, in old Montreal, that would have been something special. But maybe that would have been maybe one of an angle to look at. But anyways, we wish Jesse Puljujarvi all the best in his future endeavors. Let's get to fired up right now for Gemco Fireplaces here. And I am fired up about one particular sport that, maybe doesn't get a lot of talk right now during this time. Of course, World Juniors on tonight. Canada, Czechia. Oilers back in action tomorrow. We'll have a full slate of Oilers talk for you tomorrow, finishing off the shortened week. But fired up for Gemco Fireplaces. They've been proudly serving Edmonton area for 45 years. They are the authorized dealer for Napoleon Fireplaces, whether it's gas or wood burning. Look no further than Canadian-made Napoleon Fireplaces. All the Napoleon products you need are available at Gemco, 9281 50th Street. I am fired up about baseball in this city and surrounding area, as the Edmonton Prospects have since relocating. They'll be playing their games out in Spruce Grove. They have a new park that's being constructed there. Rob from the Grove, a listener, viewer, and regular nasty at the Central Casino Sports Bar and Lounge, he sends me updates every day. He drives by this thing that they're building out there. Have you seen the mock-ups of this?
I've seen some of the renderings, and it looks lovely out there.
Oh, man. This is going to be the talk of the town and the talk of the league.
There's retail around it. Like, it's a
full... There is going to be... there's going to be places to what did they say? Live, play, and work and shop.
Yes.
Like the whole bit, right? I don't know how the saying goes. But if you get on the Edmonton Prospects Instagram account, which they were just having a sale of all their merch, the old Prospects brand, because they are in a rebranding phase right now.
Okay.
They're taking your suggestions for a new team name. Mm-hmm. Rob from the Grove also said Parkland Porcupines would be a... Now, how about that for a minor league team, hey? How many people use the porcupine as a minor league? You put that on a cap, right? Like, that would be a unique... I really love that suggestion.
And minor league baseball is winning the branding.
It's a little fun and unique. Yeah. You're not going to call you fill in a generic team name, but... the contest deadline was the 3rd. They had thousands of names sent in. There was a voting process. So I don't know when they are going to announce this, how they are going to announce this. But it does fire me up that, living on the west end of Edmonton here, which I am close and I still will continue, go to Riverhawks games. They are in the WCL West Coast League, which is a different league than the Wimble that the Prospects, or whatever they will be called, do play in. But it will be nice to have two options here in the city and surrounding areas.
My Shack Metro Ballpark.
Yeah,
this
baby,
is gorgeous.
Right. So it's in construction right now, scheduled to be finished here for the upcoming season. But some of the renderings, as you mentioned, Edmonton Prospects on Instagram. You can also get them on X. But I don't know if they have any of their existing merchandise, the Prospects brand, still on. They had some great deals prior to Christmas, because I do find that now you walk into a vintage shop and they'll have a little trapper's penny and they'll be going for like hundreds of... I'm exaggerating a bit, but you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Get on these brands before they're gone, because it'll be a hot commodity in 5 to 10 years. Remember the Prospects? We'll all say, oh, yeah. Well, I got a cap. Cool. And you can get some money. I'm not saying you need to hawk it again, but it's just neat to get this stuff that no longer exists, and now you have a chance to get it at a discount price. So fires me up. The sale fires me up. The new, fresh... I mean, I had nothing wrong with the Edmonton Prospects name, logo, and all that. But Prospects out in Spruce Grove doesn't really... And it's dawning of a new day. So they want something new, something fresh.
Something indigenous to Spruce?
They're around there. Rob from the Grove says like he's seen a few, and I would assume
when I last saw a porcupine,
well, especially in sports naming.
Oh,
and
porcupines in sports.
All the team names. Well, all the team names in minor league ball in the States, like they've named everything. And bananas for crying out loud, right? Like they'll use anything. But I don't believe I've seen porcupines yet. And Parkland, in instituting that name to kind of capture the area, kind of rolls off the tongue nice. So. I don't know. I'm fired up for some fresh baseball, some new baseball. Of course, Edmonton prospects playing out in Sherwood Park over the past couple of seasons in the WCBL. Getting out there and following it. But this is a new day. It's a new park. It's a new brand. It's a new everything. And they will be calling Spruce Grove home. So I'm kind of excited for that. And actually what I want to try to do is either walk or bike out there to the park in Spruce Grove. That'd be interesting. We did the whole trip to Gibbons one year where I hitchhiked out there. But I'd like to kind of get out to Spruce Grove either on my legs or pedaling and get out to that ballpark.
Porcupine Plain Pirates senior baseball team in Porcupine Plain, Saskatchewan.
Home of, is that Darren Detition as well? Is that, I think, Porcupine Plain was where he was.
Is that where Dutch hailed from?
I do believe that was his birthplace. But that makes sense. Porcupine Plain, obviously, it's in the city. But
of course.
I just think you could get a cool, cartoony minor league logo with that.
Yes.
The mascot would be wild. I think you could dream big.
It's all
there.
about the mascot, all about the merch.
Yeah.
That's what it is now.
So that's got me fired up. Jasmine's in the house. EST Hangout coming up 9 to 11 here on EST. Anything firing you boys up here? I know, again, you were fired up with Nick Sirianni. It was more of a beef, though, earlier today. But has anything got you fired up for the new year or anything in sports?
Team Canada World Juniors redemption. That has me fired up. In the short term, I mean, I'm not...
Where are you pre-gaming tonight? I know it's dry January, but where will you be sipping on your water and lemon...
yes,
you can, lemon. Right? Like you can,
hot with your water and lemon.
What do you like to have? Your little,
you don't just do lemon and water. It's got to be like a scalding hot. You got to place it sort of over here and then come back to it.
Now that you've been on all week, maybe for the old trote. Yeah?
Oh yes,
with your cup of bacon bits at home. Hey, as you do. Yes. Okay, well, and it's fair to say, fired up as well. I mean, this is when it matters. It is quarterfinals action now. Canada and Czechia tonight. No more time for sentimental losses or emotional losses, or we'll get them tomorrow. This is
it's all about the discipline.
This is it. Discipline, hard work in hockey. Let's go. Trev, is that what you're fired up for, or is it Ducks and Oilers tomorrow night?
Oh, it's Team Canada, baby. We talked about it a little bit with Matt Iwanek on the Oil Stream. I love me some World Juniors. It's growing up watching every single one. I couldn't wait. I love World Juniors talk, so I will be going to a nice place tonight, and I'll be watching the game. I can't wait. Very fired up. Very fired up.
You're going to an establishment, are you? Or Correct. A friend's place?
Old Stomping Grounds.
Oh,
if you know, you know.
Yeah. The BP.
Correct.
Where you worked with great skill, I'm told, for many years.
Oh, yes. Yeah, absolutely. The greatest, most great skill ever.
And you're going back to that location?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
When you walk back in, is there a sense of he's back?
Oh, look, you know
what? There's sort of a whisper kind of.
The regulars, are they still regular there? And so, yeah, I always make an entrance. I'll yell something, and they'll turn around and be like, "Oh, no way!" So it's always fun going back there.
Have you ever gone to a place so often that you would be deemed a regular? I mean, set aside
like a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I used to go to the Royal Pizza on 118th, and I could order wings, just the flats. They'd make me just the flats. Yeah. Because apparently it's hard for the chef to pick. They don't like picking through or whatever.
Sure.
And then there's a lady that used to show up there, and she'd fall asleep. Like, what's that condition called where you just...
Is that...
Narcolepsy? I don't want to say something that's not good.
No, I think
she'd order like a roast beef dinner and like plow her face right into the potatoes, like just.
You know who used to fall asleep?
Odd behavior
at like stoplights was Terry Vaughn.
Really?
Yes.
Just conked out. Don't bang on the horn like.
Team meetings and stuff. He'd be, guys. Hey, Vaughn, wake up.
For the talent that he possessed, and would just kind of drop off, nod off like that.
Wake up and get you 120 yards and 2 TDs.
We're fired up for the World Juniors. I'm fired up for a little minor league ball here and around Edmonton, starting up in the spring and summer, so it's good. What are you fired up? Gemco Fireplaces, 780-218-9999. Parkland Buckaroos, Scuba Steve says, a la the Portland Buckaroos, kind of playing off that. So there's a name as well if you want to use Parkland. Let's get into the Marmot Basin snow report, the ski report as well, courtesy Brian out out in Marmot and Jasper. I know we don't have the usual. We'll be back to the old hijinks on Monday when Dusty's back. There was a bed that you played earlier. Do you know which color key that was? Give it a shot. Just press any button there. It's
we have the Spangler. I wonder if Maddie put that on there.
Yeah, play this. Fade it down a bit. Yeah, ride it hard. There you go. Perfect. Thank you. Good morning, Brian says. Temperature this morning, minus 16 at 7 o'clock. Forecast high today of minus 11. 1 centimeter of new snow fell last night with 6 centimeters of new snow in the past 4 days. The settled snowpack, 62 centimeters with a total of 143 so far this season. All lifts are operating today. Conditions are very good throughout the entire mountain. And he also wants to pass on that the 36th annual Jasper in January Festival kicking off next Friday. You can check jasper.travel for updates on all the events going on during the fest. Always a good time. Thanks, gents, and have a great day. And as being a regular up at the Jasper in Januaries of the past, I can attest to that one. Ain't no dry January going on up in Jasper. For those, you kind of have, if you're doing the month, you have to kind of X off those couple of days, go up there.
What is the opposite of dry? Very wet.
It is extremely wet. So damp. But yeah, Jasper in January, always a good time. Love it. Get on up there, support them. They need a 36th annual, once again, Friday, January 10th. And we'll keep you up to date on the conditions both at Marmot and in Jasper as a whole leading up to that weekend. I know Maddie's joined me for a couple of those in the past. Lots of stuff to do. If you've been up there on your own, let Jasper take you for a tour and show you around and maybe some places and crevices and ravines that you haven't seen yet on your own. It's always a good weekend up in Jasper. So once again, jasper.travel for updates on Jasper in January. That kicks off next Friday. Let's get into the wrap now for William Huff. If you want your place to look as good as ours, check out the good folks at WilliamHuff.com. In business since 1952. So you know they're incredible at what they do. William Huff, I know that they're a big hand in the World Juniors as well. I do believe down in Ottawa tonight.
You have that right.
Quarterfinals
came
going
home
on.
and then went back. Got to be there for the quarters and everything right up through to the final game. Everything looks great, and they always deliver.
And he is a selfless man when it comes to what he does and leading that team there at William Huff. We had the dream team in here doing all of this work. If you've been to the studios here, you know what we're talking about. But the wrap right now for William Huff. And once again, Dave, thanks for coming in and sharing your time this week with both myself and Maddie. But what did you learn? Maybe not the most educational show today, but what did you pull from today's show?
I come back to YouTube Trev because he is like an onion. You peel him away and you learn more and more. So again, I think it's fair to say that Trev struggles in the public. You know, the pub crawl did not go well for him.
Too old.
He's too old. He's aged out.
Thank you.
Yeah, you've aged out of all of that. So again, I learned earlier in the week that he is not afraid of electricity, and he would like to be tased. God knows what tomorrow is going to bring. And
it
what
is a
Trev
Friday.
reveals, it is a Friday.
Good old Friday. I love Fridays.
I learned that you love Fridays.
Yeah.
Isn't that something? What else? What did you learn? Did you pull away anything from the show? From our big guest, Luke Gazdic, or anything from Dave Jameson's large brain?
Oh, why am I stumping on these?
Well, we learned Chris...
the fumble of the year thus far. Absolutely.
The Buckner Award, hey?
That's what I learned. Batting 1,000. What is it now? I don't even know how many attempts he's had, but I learned that Chris needs to get a little bit more studying in, and that he was not ready. In fact, when he texted in, I'm ready. He wasn't ready.
I just find it so perplexing that you led with 2 Oilers questions.
Yes,
and we went over this.
Intentionally so.
We like to kind of have a full balanced diet here at EST, but it is mainly Oilers. I don't understand where he's now. Again, maybe he's Calgary based, maybe he's a Flames fan, maybe he doesn't like hockey. But you then had a World Juniors.
Any Oiler question for this audience, and there's some large hockey brains that listen to this show, watch this show, would be a tap in.
For the first two. For the first two. You then needed one more, which was a World Junior one. You were paving a way to victory. You're basically driving him to Mr. Mike's.
I put it on the tee for him.
Big T.
Yes.
Big T. And Chris failed to show up. And he didn't even go through the full 5. So nuts to him. Started 2025 off with a bit of a bang, but in a negative way. So we learned that Chris with the CH didn't get it done. And may he live in shame and have that L firmly attached. Some of the Miami Dolphins, hey, they're all clean, like the perfect season.
How many of them are left?
It's not a big group.
It's not a big group.
No. Text of the day, and we did have a handful of good ones coming in. I know in your conversation about Dickerson, the Dick stands,
Why do we have
we get
to
a little
go there?
PG-13 sometimes. I know. Hey, it's always going to be. It's always going to be. That hurts Blue Jays offseason in on everyone. I'm going with that one. The text led to the Cuck chair. Or what we maybe should be referring to now is the Atkins and or Shapiro chair. If somebody talks to you about that certain chair in hotel rooms, you say, no, friend. It is the Atkins chair or the Shapiro chair. That's what those chairs are, because the Blue Jays organization is constantly in that we are watching, we are observing, we are listening. We just aren't touching.
And not just any hotel. It's an airport hotel. Because they've flown in to meet with the free agents.
It's there for a reason. Yeah.
They've flown in to make the presentation.
Mr. Atkins, your chair.
Your chair, please. Your chair. Just have a seat there while the Dodgers sign this guy. You just sit and watch.
Just watch. You can zip up the GIMP mask if you like, or keep it open. It's up to you. That can be your choice. So that hurts Blue Jays offseason. Unsigned text as well. We'll be reaching out to you. You got that $20 to A&W. Of course, $20 up for grabs to A&W tomorrow. You got the $5 Mama Burger and medium fry special, being that it will be an Oilers game day, so get on that. Paris Jewelers inbox 780-218-9999. Nielson show as well. Dusty will be back Monday. Dave, one more day with me tomorrow, Friday, and we'll be taking you through that, setting up the Oilers with Chris Johnston. We got the NFL slate, final weekend of the regular season, all Sundays this week. It'll be decided. Herm Edwards, the coach, will be by for that, and a Sobeys and Safeway Liquor Beer of the Week, and, of course, the Nielsen Show presented by Southport Chevrolet. It seems elementary, boys, but what are we watching tonight? I know the All-State Sugar Bowl is commanding your...
It is. I've got eyes for that. And it's
a good
tragically,
night.
given what has happened in that city, that lays, as you would expect, and a layer of heaviness over
It'll be an
the
emotional,
proceedings.
Yes, I'm sure to start.
Yes.
You got a full slate in the NHL. Lots of action picking up tonight following the one game yesterday. And, of course, World Juniors action, quarterfinals throughout the day and evening. Czechia, Canada later tonight, Finland, Slovakia. You got Sweden, Latvia, and the USA taking on the Swiss. Is there anything else, Trev, that you will be watching or monitoring tonight?
No.
That's it. You've got it all. Very well.
No, that's it. I have nothing more to give. Trev is like, nope, I cannot do any more.
We've squeezed him. We've wrung him out.
Yeah.
Wrung him out. He's squeezed out. So, once again, World Juniors, we'll have a recap of all those things coming up tomorrow here on the Nielsen Show, presented by Southport Chevrolet. Want to thank everybody for listening. The first show of 2025. Once again, Dustin Nielsen, back Monday. The whole thing back Monday. Everything going on Monday again. But one more ride with J-Mo on the wood here tomorrow. We'll be setting with the Oilers. We'll be knocking down the World Juniors. We'll be licking the bottom of the Sugar Bowl, and all with a Sobeys and Safeway Liquor Beer of the Week. EST Hangout coming up next. Matt Iwanek in the house, Tom Gazzola and Jasmine as well. They'll be taking you through 9 to 11. Keep it locked here on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.